They went budget. 2021, they were kind of middle of the pack, right? But this year, they are finding the success they could not find last year. This roster gelled together. It came together at the end. And this is one of the best runs potentially Hanwha Life as an org will ever get to make it to that coveted grand finals. It starts here with the draft.
Absolutely. See exactly how it is going to go. Already, the Maokai taken away from Peanut. I believe last count was 10-0?
11-0 now.
11-0. There you go. The Ashe banned away against Carrier, an understandable one there. And, of course, an obvious flex because Ashe Rumble has been a bit of a thing as well. Carrier, of course, debuting it in the support role here in the LCK after taking some notes from good old Life over in the LPL, of course, formerly on Hanwha Life Esports as well, which is pretty cool.
They're going to take away the Kench here. The Senna is still available if Guma wants to play it. They could run the Nautilus with that since that's also open. It would make a Zeri pick pretty weak. I don't think you want to run Zeri into Senna. I think it's a Viper Varus angle if that is pushed through. There's 3 bans towards Peanut, and it will be the Twisted Fate here.
That is crazy.
Just to start things off. I mean,
Senna Nautilus is available, Wolf.
And it's making Hanwha Life Esports make the decision. Now, if they end up picking the Senna Nautilus here, there's a few picks they could face. Obviously, the Lucian Nami could be the Varus pick. And I think it's a pretty easy call. It's Delight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Delight on Nautilus, and it's Viper on Senna. There's not much else you need to say when you lock those picks in. And they think they're going to outrange it in the early game with the Jinx Thresh. And this is the Guma late game crit pick. It's this and the Aphelios, if you're playing against Viper, that you absolutely can match him with. And Carrier's iconic Thresh, we haven't really seen it too much in recent times, but it has come back in a big way here with Jinx.
Yeah, and Delight was the one that actually picked up the Thresh first off here. Carrier hasn't tried his hand at it after the Thresh was a little bit buffed back towards relevance. It's something that we have seen players utilize very, very well when there are the less mobile picks, such as the Jinx, towards that bottom side. I do think it's just a gigantic gamble, though. This is an extraordinarily explosive draft from T1 to leave open the Senna Nautilus in the very first game. And this is one of those things that T1 does often like to do. They take all of their risks at the beginning of the series.
I think that's a wise choice, too, when you have the depth that T1 has. As Taliyah will be taken away from Faker here. Jace is gone. The Rek'Sai pick still available. Obviously, it can be tough in the early levels to face off against the Twisted Fate, but you get any money, and the Twisted Fate just doesn't hurt you anymore. And we could see them try to control that top side of the map, play the safe Azir lane, and then try to, pilot Peanut towards the bottom side to make sure this Senna lane doesn't end up having any problems, doesn't give too much plate gold over. The Lee Sin that made it this deep into the draft, I think definitely deserves a look here. Considering Owner has been so fantastic on it. They don't have the Poppy this time around. Aatrox, another pick that we could see T1 ban, has historically been very good with this Senna. So Aatrox is up, Rek'Sai is up. We'll see what Doran wants to play. May just save that pick for counter here in R5.
Could be one of those options. They might be flexing the Twisted Fate, I guess, but it's probably not likely. We did see the Rek'Sai do relatively well into it, though. Peanut probably wants to lock away his pick, try and deny something from Owner at the same time. Sejuani, Xin, lots of things still up and available, and it looks like it will be the spear wielder himself in the jungle for Peanut.
Does feel very strong into a Twisted Fate composition as well as a Jinx composition, having that Crescent Guard to make sure you can't be blown up and then the Jinx gets excited. Very frustrating to play into this beefy jungle that's going to do a ton of damage as well. Now, this was the X Factor. The Corki to come through. They can go just hyper scaling with this. They already have a ton of control topside, assuming things don't go wrong here for Zeus on this Twisted Fate. The big question now on everyone's mind is what is going to be that jungle pick here for Owner.
Yeah, plenty of things still up and available, but it doesn't feel like a very good Sejuani angle. There's not even a support that does melee damage, so that Permafrost not really going to be all that useful.
His Rel has been fantastic this season, and it looks like that's what they're going to go with here. Doesn't feel amazing with this composition, but can be great for package. The Rek'Sai, not really a shocker. We had our eyes on that one this entire time here in draft. It is going to be left through, and Doran will pilot her here into the Twisted Fate. The early game here for T1 can be quite tricky to play out. I think if the Jinx falls behind at any point, you just feel like you're infinitely scaling here with the Senna. You have the Azir that's going to do a lot of damage early, and if this comp falls behind, the Rel doesn't set up for much but package here in terms of team fight combos, because there isn't a follow-up, swath of AoE that's going to come through from a top laner. If you had the Rel with the Cassante, for example, you'd feel a little bit better about how that Magnet Storm engage can look. But there are a lot of ways.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for playoffs round 2, our second match. We'll see who's going to be able to take it here in game number 1. T1 threw down the gauntlet by leaving open the center Nautilus. I do have a fun fact, because you don't necessarily associate Viper with center play, right? He's a bit of a Zeri guy, very good at the crit carries, things like this, with a bit more presence in lane, presence in team fights. Viper has a 46 KDA, 100% win rate on center.
Yeah, he's pretty good at it.
It's not bad.
He's pretty good at anything that goes late, even if it's not fancy, even if it's just a little bit more finesse, as the Senna often does end up being. We'll take a look at some of these champion stats here for T1, but I can tell you this is the 5th game for Zeus on the Twisted Fate. He is 4-0. Leading into this 5th game, it's now his 3rd most played behind the Aatrox and the Cassante. And, you know, you look at some of these other picks here, Peanut hasn't played as much Jin Zhao as a lot of his other really strong picks. And Doran obviously played the Rek'Sai. We weren't really impressed with it against the Kwangdong Freaks, but that was his first games that he did play, of course, with this champion. And just one lane and then didn't do a whole lot, but it didn't matter. And I think that he will have to do a little bit more than that this game around if he wants to set up for the Senna. It becomes a very difficult target to kill later on. Faker 5-0. Probably get the stat on exactly what his win streak is, because it is very long at this point. I always lose count.
And on the other side of things, we mentioned already that the Center Nautilus has been something that Harmon Life Esports have found a fair bit of success on. Doran with that victory on the Rek'Sai, but like you mentioned, it's not something that we're necessarily saying was extremely devastating or anything like that. It felt like Dudu did manage to handle it relatively well. Hook going to connect here on to Delight. Bit of a snare coming in though, and Viper and Delight not going to be too worried about how things are going here. Just going to get pushed in slightly early on.
Here's the Senna Nautilus win streak. 12-3 total, 10 in a row, including some teams down here, Kwangdong Freaks, T1. Sorry, not T1, Fear X. T1 would not be surprising to have on that list, but some of the other teams is Peanut.
Yeah, Faker taking a fair bit of damage here. Wind Becomes Lightning is going to connect, but Faker still able to just Valkyrie his way out, and Zeka's health bar does not really help him out too much here. 8-3 is going to be the win rate for Corki into Azir. Corki Azir has been a tale as old as time. There
22.
is that graphic you were talking about. 22 in a row as Ona comes down, gets the flash out from Zeka, and he'll immediately go home.
Zeka doesn't have a dash available there. We'll have to flash. Feels really amazing as Owner to be able to get that away early, and now to come over here, start putting the pressure onto Peanut. Early on, obviously, the Rek'Sai can't win the matchup into Twisted Fate, so...
Ona able to steal that one away from Peanut as well.
Massive start.
Vision.
Yeah, he is really just putting the pressure on the Peanut here, making sure that Zeus can continue to get pressure topside. They're winning, obviously, the push in bottom lane. And they have tons of control now. They got the flash out of Zeka's. Meanwhile...
Yeah, playback onto Viper. He's taking a lot of damage. Lantern going to be taken, and that's going to spell the flash out from Viper. Does manage to snare Carrier, but the hook is going to connect. Delight is able to buffer the dredge line. That is able to get him out of range. So nicely played here by T1, putting the pressure on real heavily on this bottom side.
Yeah, everywhere, really. I mean, Carrier allowing them to have that agency bottom side, top side. The shadow coming through there from Owner. The only way this Rek'Sai starts to win super early is if Peanut comes over there and Zeus overextends, but he just isn't. Was shadowed there again by Owner, coming over there, stealing those camps away, getting the flash out of Zeka. His impact in this early game has been so high. And now, obviously, the Corki doesn't have to deal with any sort of flash engage here from Zeka or anything like that. It's very comfortably just going to sit back and farm. Faker did pick up the tier, and he's sitting pretty in lane.
Yeah, just kind of chilling at the moment as Delight is hanging around here towards this bottom side, waiting for the wave to push in. You saw Viper, he's making his way back, but no cleanse, no flash. Possible visit towards this bottom side for the Rel, if Owner would like to, as he does make his way out of base. Yeah, Doran just trying to survive as best he can against the shove power of Zeus on this Twisted Fate. And it's working. You can just go underground and then BK, as we figured out. Going through that Fury quite a lot.
just trying to, put the Fury on cooldown, basically, as you mentioned, just constantly force him to heal up. Doran will have to be the first one to back here. Feels great as Zeus. Should be able to get his Destiny up and can take a luxury back whenever he wants.
Yep.
And, I mean, the winning here that T1 is doing early is kind of what I expected here, considering the Twisted Fate lane. Obviously, the fact that Senna is going to outrange, or rather, Jinx is going to outrange the early Senna lane. To put that poke onto the Nautilus, the Thresh has a lot of power in that matchup too. And as long as Keria plays it well, which, surprise, surprise, he's Keria, the early game feels good here for T1. Then you start to stack up packages for those, second, third Drake fights like you were talking about. Things do look very nice here in this early game for T1. Already picking up 1,000 gold the lead here with 0 kills just from laning alone. And this is what you want to see if you're a T1 fan.
Absolutely. First dragon going to be a mountain. We'll see who's able to get over there. I think the dragon stacking is going to be something very important. I think if T1 manages to get a few of the early ones, it's going to be so difficult for Hanwha Life Esports. Like you were talking about, I think Hanwha probably wanting to get down there and start stacking these before they have to worry about packages. And as we say that, Peanut, Viper, and Delight will start this one off.
Yeah, it looked like maybe Owner wanted to try to make something happen here onto Doran, and they decided they were not going to go for Dragon. The back timers of both Faker and the bottom lane just really indicate that they had no interest of contesting this first one here. Just a really awkward time all around. Faker not having teleport, of course, as Zeus should be fine. He's like, yeah, good luck.
Doran just kind of swimming around. Gold card is going to connect, and that's going to deny any sort of harassment. As Peanut, bit of a drive-by fadeaway smite there as the dragon does go down. Next one's going to be a Chemtech, and so Orcs is paying attention today. It's really good.
He's here. He did the pre-show.
Yeah, thank goodness, because yesterday it was a disaster. We had 3 Chemtech souls. Ugh.
That's like... Valdez and I did the math on that in Challengers once. It's a real statistical anomaly.
Yeah. It certainly felt like that. Did make Game 5 feel really cool, though, when we got an Infernal.
Yeah, that was like, very...
Whoa, relevant dragons? Crazy.
Yeah, Game 4 was an ocean, if I'm not mistaken, as well, right?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
So far, as we slow this down here, Dragon went over without a hitch. Chemtech is going to be the second one here, so not going to be the most impactful, but Hanwha do want to stack that up. As Doran is starting to, be a little bit more of a threat here to Zeus because he does have those Merc Treads, so we'll be able to get back into the action after gold cards very easily. Yep. And after he does end up picking up some of those tank items, obviously this is going to be when Zeus can't really hurt him at all. Yeah, T1 are feeling pretty good.
I think you want like an item and a half or something like that for Doran, and then he's just going to be out scot-free. But of course, you're never really going to be much of a damage threat, and he really wants to be getting on top of Faker and Gomushi and just disrupting as much as possible in these fights. Now, is Gold Card going to connect onto the Twisted Fate? As we check out this bottom side, Viper going to land a bit of a snare onto Keria. This Piercing Darkness starting to hurt a little bit, as we do see now that Peanut was waiting, thinking about some sort of opportunity, but not going to quite get in there. As Ona sweeping things out, and Doran might be his target for Shattering Strike, not going to land, and therefore the Burrow is going to be enough to get out.
Very close call there for Doran. May have had to flash otherwise. With the Rel having level 6, you hit that Shattering Strike, then the gold card comes through, then the Magnet Storm comes through, and you are not going to be that tanky with sitting on just the Merc Tread. So you can heal your way out of a lot of things, but that one I don't think he would have been very happy with, as owners just continue to put the pressure on here. And as Rel, on this patch still you can just contest objectives like this. Peanut has no idea.
Yeah, Viper's moving up. Keria in the area as well. Owner, I think, still unseen, as Peanut will now walk into the brush and figure it out. Peanut does manage to get the smite, which is pretty impressive against Rel. And so, going to be able to get out of there relatively happily, but full information to T1 with the fact that Viper is towards his top side of the map and Peanut is shadowing. It means that Zeus not going to push his luck here towards the top side of the map, and we'll have some equalization. Still,
really,
no first blood.
Yeah, and really cool play there from Keria. Oftentimes supports do struggle to get advantages against the Nautilus, that sits on bottom side with teleport, so trying to match the center roam here and allowing Owner to continue that pressure top side. Yeah, he didn't end up with a successful takeaway there of the red buff, but it was a good try, and he's just shadowed there by Keria, who has the Lantern for him, so really no risk to Owner whatsoever. And if Faker tries to rotate up there, maybe there's a play that could be made if Zeka makes a mistake. So just constantly putting the pressure on.
Speaking of which, Peanut is now going to find Owner. Gets a full combo here as Owner is just trying to get himself out. Emperor's Divide, and they push the Rel away. The Crashdown is going to come through as Shattering Strike is a fair bit of value, but it's not going to get out of the Void Rush. That is first blood going over to the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, it looks like he just scared that perhaps a flash would come out there, so just uses the ultimate to guarantee the kill. And this is a problem for Zeus. Doran getting a little bit accelerated here isn't going to be game-breaking or anything like that, but Owner ultimately decides not to flash there. Will be the end of his life. And that is, a good choice. I think all things considered probably dies anyways there, and we'll now have it for the engage as Faker out of his depth here a little bit, holding this package.
Yeah, he's able to play with relative abandon when it comes to danger, just because that package does afford you so much safety. And so able to walk on in there. Still, Zeka being able to grab his first assist of the game. I think we know Zeka not necessarily as a laning Azir, but more as a team fighting Azir, one able to find some of these angles for the Emperor's Divides, and we'll see whether that is going to be the same thing as Doran is in trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see whether he can get himself out of this one. Teleport is going to come on through as he's trying his best. Dives on top of Carrier here as now Faker taking a lot of damage from this turret. Super Mega Death Rocket connects onto Zeka, but I think that HLE Esports have kept themselves alive there towards the top side. See whether Gamushi can do the same in the bottom lane, and it looks like he will be able to, stifling the pressure on both sides.
Yeah, the dive a little bit mishandled there by T1, but also they see the teleport coming through from Zeka. They don't want to hard force it, and the aggro juggle was pretty decent. As we're going to go back to this play here onto Owner, just sticks around a little bit too long. Faker is backing as well, so nothing he can do. Was just desperately trying to get to his blast cone. Knows he's out of flash range to flash to the cone, and decides not to use it, which I think is wise, but probably shouldn't have been pushing that far up. And the defense there of the dive topside was pretty successful. Zeka did not have his ult. He does now.
Faker, no package available here as Peanut does slow Faker down. Owner is going to be here. Flash out from Faker, but there's the audacious charge from Peanut. They get the knock-off, and Faker is going to be taken down, and Emperor's Divide immediately follows. Owner this time is going to be able to flash, and will take the Lantern away to safety, but still 2 kills for HLE Esports.
Really massive start here for Hanwha Life, and one of those kills going over to Viper here. This is not what you want to see as a T1 fan.
Doran just trying to do what he can. The Ghost is going to be used here from Zeus. He's just throwing so many cards at this Rek'Sai. He will eventually just be able to hop in a tunnel and get himself out. HLE Life will be able to take the prize of a Drake unless Owner is able to do something about it. They do get a bit of information as he gets on over. There's going to be the steal, but it might be a sacrifice of his life as well. Magnus Storm comes in and he takes the Lantern! And Carrier is going to save his jungler.
And T1 are just so good at this, man. You know, when you see the observers pan over towards Owner on the wall, he's got his Hex Splash, Carrier's got Lantern, they have Super Mega Death Rocket. They're going to try every way they can to prevent the Dragon Stack, and it is successful this time around. Now, Ocean Soul being the soul here, arguably a much stronger soul here for HLE Life, considering they have this farming Nautilus and the Rek'Sai. But at least it's not going to be the next Dragon threatened soul point. Good play there from T1 to deny the Dragon. The gold lead is still theirs right now, still holding 5,000 as the advantage, but Carry's starting to get a little bit closer to online here. The Senna getting stronger. Obviously, the Azir now having Nashor's Tooth. The early game has felt pretty good for HLE Life, turning things around, as this is just a lot of greed here out of Faker. Has Valkyrie, but as you mentioned, no package. The escape range here, not large enough. And then I appreciate Peanut also following for the flash after the stun comes through from Owner, making sure he can get that knock up there onto Faker. Zeka tries to get Owner here. Will get his flash only, but a good attempt nonetheless. Carrier is here to cover once again. Carrier has been everywhere this game. Speaking of that, you'll see this play here. Goes for the steal. He's got the Lantern to get out. Pings it.
Yeah. He's like, over here, please. Success. Really nicely played there by T1, and Carrier, always a joy to watch on this Thresh. You remember the Q buffs on Thresh where Carrier landed like 11 deaths in one team fight?
That was so silly.
It was very silly. Thankfully, we don't quite have Death Sentence at that low of a cooldown anymore. Would be a little bit broken. Super Mega Death Rocket is going to spot Doran out as he is fighting with Shelly right now. A bit of a void battle.
Viper decides to avoid it. He's like, Doran, you can take it. You can go underground. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not taking this damage. You can.
Viper is getting scary, though. We can see that he is behind in gold and stuff like that, but Delight actually keeping up. So as far as the 2v2 is concerned, pretty even. Most of the money is, in fact, on Zeus. As we can see, does have his static shiv very close to the rapid-fire cannon, I would assume, and is extraordinarily far ahead of basically everyone, but notably Doran.
Yeah. As, you know, passive, etc., he is going to get pushed away from his turret here now, and Doran and Peanut will be able to put a decent amount of damage onto this. Only have one Void Grub, so not going to be pushing this one down very quickly, as Zeka does have ult flash.
Yeah, he does, and he also has Viper coming down here towards his bottom side, as Emperor's Divide is going to be avoided. Ona was taking up the turret for such a long time, though, and is just going to fall down. Viper just great positioning here. Gumyushi Carrier just a little bit late to the party.
Yeah, Owner a bit of a miss on this one.
Well, so Mega Death Throw, can he get flashed there? As that is a lot of respect given. And now Destiny coming on through. Zeus will find the gold card, and that is a very comfortable kill. Snare should be able to keep Viper safe, but that is still so much damage done, and the acceleration of the Twisted Fate is well and truly continued.
Yeah, now they're going to try to counter drop this Rift Herald here in mid, and they should be able to get a decent amount of damage on this turret. See how long they can stick around. It is a Nautilus and a Xin Zhao here trying to push this down, but with the minions, they should be able to get it very low. And T1 are just saying, well, we have a much longer push. We have 5 Void Grubs.
Yeah, and that is going to be a death sentence onto Doran as well, who is going to get flayed back. Viper will find his way back here, and they should be able to keep this turret alive, but it is not exactly very healthy.
No, definitely not. Neither the mid turret that does survive here or that inner there on the bottom side.
All right, Peanut taking a lot of damage here from Faker, who is almost towards his items. Peanut deciding to go in is very aggressive, as now they're just looking to try and lock down this turret. They will be able to do so. Zeka able to get a few autos in there. That will be the outer in mid lane taken down. A lot of map control and power with that Drake falling.
You mentioned
that turret falling.
Yeah, you mentioned the Twisted Fate as well, how much gold he has. He's leading the farm right now. He's 40 CS up on Doran. He did pick up that turret, of course, bottom side, as well as that additional kill onto Zeka. So he is pretty big, but how well will he utilize gold in the late game? Twisted Fate often a champion that, you know, does end up doing a decent amount of damage when you get to late game, especially if your team is crushing it. We see full build Twisted Fates. We've seen it from Zeus multiple times where he actually ends up just crushing through even a Casante's health bar. But on the other side, it's Viper who's getting to be quite large here for Hanwha Life, and the question becomes now which one is going to have a larger impact as we push through this game. I think a lot of that will depend on how many of these Ocean Drakes Hanwha Life can stack up here against the poke.
Ona is going to come on over and take away the shellfish.
Peanut's like, that's a rel.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm just not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to waste my time. As gold is entirely even. 5 seconds until our first Ocean Drake of the game. As Doran teleporting to the mid lane. They are not wanting to give this one up without a fight. Gold card locked here by Zeus. Going to throw it at a Drake for the moment. Now Carrier moving on in. Hook going to connect onto Doran. Not exactly an optimal target, but he's going to be denied the burrow. Does have to Blast Cone to get himself out of the way here. Let's see whether Owner is just going to be able to utilize the rel to lock this one down. It is going to be secured, but can they win the team fight? Hook going to connect onto Peanut as Faker delivers a package to the back line. Viper shields himself up, though, has to flash over the package to avoid the damage. Hook is going to be there under Peanut, though, and he should go down. Empress Divide lands on almost everyone, and there goes the jinx, but Viper falls immediately afterwards, and now the damage is just Zeka. Zeus zones in on it, and that will be the lockdown of the Emperor. And there is the damage gone. No one else able to offer anything back, and Delight, yeah, he's tanky. He lasts a little bit longer, but he will still be going down, and T1 wiped the fight.
Yeah, T1 wiped the fight, take a pretty significant gold lead here, and we'll end up getting control of mid lane as well. They could probably decide to, with 5 Void Grubs here, just push this turret down with this cannon wave. Owner and Faker can make very quick work of it. The moment that Doran ends up using his burrow, doesn't have anything, gets gold carded here, and you're contesting Ocean Rift here with this brush, I think you should probably just walk away as Hanwha Life here, because you're playing the smite fight into the rel, and then Peanut just walks up anyways here, isn't able to set it for a Crescent Guard. Even though Faker's package is very lackluster and he kind of puts himself out of the fight, it's still a jinx. Once she gets excited in this fight, you know, you're like, okay, do we keep pushing this? She gets taken down, and then you have no more damage here. Zeka's already used his Emperor's Divide, and yes, he does have his second item nearly complete here. I don't think it's actually quite finished just yet, but he's just isolated here. Doran is just a meat shield. Delight the same. And if you end up losing the Senna, and even if the Senna's isolated on top side this early in the game, you're not going to win those longer fights. And it felt like Hanwha Life were just like, well, I guess if we win the 50-50, it'll still be worth, right? And it wasn't. And now you can see the gold lead is massively in favor of T1. Owner was never going to lose that smite fight. And huge whiff, I think, here on Hanwha Life on this fight.
Yeah, it's not really what you're looking to see, as Faker able to get a couple of kills on this Corki so far as well. Still not really with that first item completion, so I'm a bit scared because already he's doing so much damage. Does have the transformation on the Muramana, but it doesn't, like, the news doesn't get better for Hanwha Life Esports, right? Like, Corki, once you hit those couple of item spikes, you're absolutely devastating. We saw already, you know, Gumayusi was taken down immediately in that fight, but T1 still had the damage to keep on going because Zeus exists, right? They've got triple damage threat on the side of T1. And so as soon as you do get those first couple of kills, it is so difficult to continue fighting because you just don't have the same level of damage. Yes, you've got protection, but not so much the damage. And Hanwha Life Esports just needs to be more coordinated in these fights if they want to get this one done.
We've seen a lot of, more defensive Azir played with Senna out of some of our top teams. We saw that from Faker. We saw that from Chovy, actually, even Showmaker playing the Grasp Azir a little bit more defensively to keep the, in this case, Viper alive, keep the Senna alive in these longer fights and itemize for that. But it's just going to be looking for engage as the way Zeka is playing this. And that's not surprising given Zeka's playstyle in general. But I think they're going to have to slow this game down. And that's frustrating into a Corki. But if they just keep trying to match T1 in these early objective fights here, I say early, it's 20 minutes, they're going to be in trouble.
Zeus just going to very comfortably take the inner turret and gates his way out. Tunnel over for Doran, but he's only able to pick up these minions, not able to save his structure. And so 3,000 gold is the resulting lead for T1. They have a Drake advantage as well. Things for this Corki Jinx composition are looking absolutely fantastic at this stage of the game.
They're looking for a pick here with this teleport from Delight.
Yeah,
but it's
package available as Keria and Ona are in the area, so therefore it should be absolutely fine.
They're going to clear this vision, but starting the Baron, T1 definitely will just contest here. This is a pretty interesting call from HLE, considering this is a Senna early on.
Fate can't actually make his way up here, so Hanwha Life Esports are just saying, we have 5, you have 4, and at the moment it is 3. Hook going to connect, as Ona's Magnustorm is fantastic. He's lasting for so incredibly long, and gets his way out as well, but still, Doran able to lock that one down. Zeus is now in the front line. This is dangerous, but the Jinx is now going to get excited. That is the second kill, as the front line has been wiped out. And now Doran, the last one remaining with any kind of health bar, and Hanwha Life Esports going to have to get out of there.
On one hand, I can appreciate the call here from Hanwha Life Esports. It's decisive. You know that Twisted Fate doesn't have teleport. He doesn't have Destiny because he just used it to get out of the bottom lane. But you're also dealing with T1's composition that turns on engages so well. They have Rel, they have Thresh, they have a Jinx. If they get even one single pick, you were going to lose that longer fight every time. And it was a lot of resources used onto Owner, whose counter Magnetstorm is so good. And this is why Rel is just so strong on this meta, because she can contest smites, she can walk forward, because if you hook onto this Rel, it's super easy for the Magnetstorm re-engage to come through, as you see here. Senna Ultimate does a lot of work here for the side of Hanwha Life, getting them that additional heals, the shields. But as soon as there's a kill here, you know this one is done, so there is no way to compete with Gumayusi excited at this point. Even with Zeka still having his ultimate, he is just going to be outranged by this Jinx, and she can play very carefully around this Thresh. And if you go in as Zeka in that moment, you're probably just going to get hooked by Keria.
Yeah, not a whole lot they can do about this. As you can see, Hanwha Life Esports were thinking about this Drake. Did manage to start it up, but they will give that one away as package now collected for Faker. Does have teleport available as well, but won't need it. Has that extra movement speed, and I think Hanwha Life Esports just realizing that it's probably not worth it to fight over a third Ocean Drake if there is Faker with a package right there. He has Spear of Sojourn completed as well. Corki is starting to become very, very frightening.
And it's, a call maybe here to try to trade objectives, but it's not decisive enough, I think, for Hanwha to actually start this up. And, it's frustrating to see. I think if you're a Hanwha fan, they didn't make this decision on the last Dragon that was so critical. Make it here, but there's no cross map, and T1 are just one step closer to that critical soul, and you got nothing in return.
Yeah. Control ward does go down. They do at least have vision control of the Baron, but that's where the good news sort of ends at this point.
And we saw how their last Baron start went. I think it's going to be even tougher this time around, even with that vision control, if they want to try to threaten it, but that may be their MO here.
Yeah, package has now dissipated, and Hanwha Life Esports going to take that as the go marker. 0 vision available, but of course Destiny is. And so that means infinite vision if they would like to press the button They are going to press it now. They're going to see that the Baron is down to 50%. Of course, if Owner gets into the pit, it's not even a 50-50 as they take down the tunnel. There's the hook. They're going to go for the re-engage. They find the knock-up, but he's just so incredibly tanky. Gumayushi going to get jumped on here as Doran going to try to take him down, and they are going to be able to do so. There is 2 kills to start this one off, and finally, Harmolife Esports have found a team fight. They'll get the knock-up. Empress Divide onto both damage dealers. Still, it's a double kill for Faker, but it shouldn't be a one fight here for T1 as Doran, Zekker, and Peanut are just going to try and take him down. There's the knock-up. Wind becomes lightning indeed, and there is the takedown onto the Corki. Finally, Harmolife Esports win a fight.
They give it to Zekka as well. That's massive. It's his 3rd kill of the game. He's getting closer to that 3rd item, but that was such a coordinated fight there for Harmolife Esports. Keria is over here trying to
just be annoying.
Just be annoying, as you say. I don't think it's really going to necessarily mean anything. We'll get a teleport.
Yeah, teleport from Faker in 20 seconds time though, so I think this Baron is just gone. Nothing that Keria can do about it other than watch. He will be spared, at least at this moment. The Baron is going to be taken down, so Harmolife Esports, they do manage to get their prize. And the gold that we were talking about now just jumps up 1,500 and back to even. Just
like last fight, Owner is able to stand between T1 and the Baron and then can turn with Magnet Storm. Senna Ultimate's going to come through, but then watch the swap here onto Guma as the Nautilus ult comes down. And then Doran securing that kill after the Lantern, just tracking that so incredibly well. If he doesn't get that kill, then I think this fight absolutely could have gone T1's way. Zekka holding his Emperor's Divide until the end to get these secure kills on the attempted exits from T1. And Faker will be given over to Zekka as well. Harmolife Esports, this is the kind of fight that we're looking for. Much better coordination from them the second time around will lead to the Baron.
Yeah, and you saw at the end there, Keria tried to give the Lantern to Faker, but unfortunately he went over the wall and was unable to actually pick that one up. So unable to be spared still. Let's see how this Red Bull Baron power play does go for Harmolife Esports. 9-9 is the kill score. Very even everywhere, all across the map, but they are 1 turret down. This bottom outer still yet to be taken for Harmolife Esports, so some standing gold for them to take down as Doran getting to work on this top side.
Yeah, and this should be able to get them a little bit of prio leading into the next Dragon fight as well. They could take much more comfortably than the last 2. Peanut will just shadow this push here towards the bottom side, potentially even be able to take home more.
Yeah. See Zekka down here. When becomes lightning onto Keria. He is going to break his shield. As Faker with a full clip of rockets. They should be able to defend at least over here. Doran just getting to work everywhere else, trying to keep things shoved in as best he can. So far, it is 1 turret that they've picked up. Good hook is going to connect that onto Peanut, who does have to Crescent Guard, actually.
Yeah, he
avoid the damage.
Opts into that. I'm not 100% sure he had to do it, but just felt like he didn't have enough information there. And, you know, you're dealing with Jinx Rocket, etc. You just don't want to mess around with that. He decides to pop it just to be safe. And the problem with sieging as Harmolife is your siege comp is decent, but you don't have the ability to hard engage on the T1's comp because their turn is so amazing. Plus, you're dealing with turrets, you're dealing with insane Jinx range. So this Baron play here going to be about 2K. It looks like nothing too crazy.
Yeah, Doran does have his tunnel, but isn't actually going to utilize it as the turret will be taken down. So against the flow, with 30 seconds left on this Baron, it's still Zeus that's able to lock down a turret for T1. So even on the turret trade, and not exactly the greatest of Red Bull Baron power plays, we can see it is just basically the beginning gold of the Baron. Nothing else. No extra map control picked up for Hanwha here. And is it going to be a dragon? That is the question. Are they going to be able to deny the soul from this comp? Because I think Ocean Soul does work out very well if you are one of these Corki competitions, because you can just sit and poke for a really long time. Stuff like that is certainly good.
The timing of the back here for Peanut works out. His flash and his ultimate back online here does end up picking up the Randuin's 3rd here, so Peanut is on 3 items now. Heading into this next fight, going to be very difficult to kill.
Where's the pack? Pack is not there. Destiny has been popped here, so Hanwha, they're positioning 100% known, and there is the Drake. They're going to start the fight as well, as Owner is going to have to crash his way down and out of there. Super Mega Death Rocket this time not going to work out as the tunnel out from Doran. He is still at full health. He can play that front line if they would like him to. And he's just tunneling around, does manage to eat a gold card for that one, as now T1 with positional advantage in mid lane. looking to try and put pressure on this inner turret. The rest of Hanwha Life Esports trying to rotate their way around.
This comp is pretty fragile here from T1. Besides Owner, they have to be so careful about staying in this mid lane and pushing any further, as if they get split apart, it is going to be a disaster. Delight did not ult in that last fight. Zeka still has Emperor's Divide. There's so many different ways T1 could get caught. If they want to try to get cute here, they need to be very careful and cautious.
Ooh, Zap not going to connect onto Peanut. Neither does the hook. As when becomes lightning, he gets himself out of the way. Gold card at the ready. But he's going to flash on top of Viper. He does get into the mist, and he's able to get himself out. Immediate cleanse. That is a summoner spell in trade for an auto attack with a card on top, so
yeah,
you'd probably say that it's worth for T1.
Well,
still the flash was utilized by Zayas.
Yeah, that's the other issue. I mean, I love this play if Viper doesn't have cleanse, but he did. So, you know, does get a small win there, and if perhaps they were able to lead into another CC there, it would have been absolutely worth it if they end up killing Viper, but they're unsuccessful. You could see in that last fight on the Dragon as well that as Delight becomes more tanky, he can just kind of walk towards Owner and say, yeah, normally if I hook you, you know, you Magnet Storm and then the team focuses me down, but I'm so big now that it's very difficult for you to do that, and the rest of the team can just play around me. The Senna's range now, getting closer to that of Jinx's, and having the ability to actually slow fight these with a 3.5 item now with the Arm Guard picked up. Azir is really comfortable for Hanwha Life Esports. Seems like the tides have turned a little bit here when Faker doesn't have package.
Well, Peanut needed to have swept that ward that Doran was standing on, as Delight not going to quite find that still. Going to be the snare connecting onto Owner. 40 seconds on the Baron. That is going to be the next thing to watch out for here in this game. T1 currently with a lot of vision control, at least towards this river opening.
Tremor Sense getting so much value here.
Oh, yeah.
It's always knowing where T1 are rotating. You can see that showcased here by our observers, those little rings you see on the ground. Doran knows where they're kiting back. Are they lurking there? Are they looking for a counter engage? This Rek'Sai is just going to give so much additional information to the side of Hanwha Life Esports as they kind of juggle for neutral here and start stealing away some of these camps, stealing away deep vision. Now, T1 have grouped on this spawning Baron. 10 seconds to go. They have amazing turn. Faker is going to be able to pick up package here for this next fight. He's prepped his big rocket as well. This could be a game-deciding fight.
Yeah, T1 already starting this one up as Delight in position. Flame Chompers go down. Hook going to go wide there. As Zeka now finally going to join the fight. The hook is going to connect. That's onto a flashless Twisted Fate as well. Still, he's able to kite this one out. The flash forward from Peanut, and Doran's able to lock that one down. But now the package is absolutely gigantic. Still, Doran just shrugs it off. They are able to take down Peanut, but Emperor's Divide connects. And that is the wipeout for Hanwha Life. They are looking to try and end this game.
9,600 in damage for Faker on the Corki. The package is big, but it's not big enough. And it looks like it might be the end of his winning streak here on said champion as Hanwha Life with a huge team fight win here, and Doran so consistently guaranteeing these kills onto Guma, even with the lanterns, even when the Jinx is over the wall. With that turn from Faker, it is not enough.
Oh my god, the intensity of this game, but still, Hanwha Life now knocking on the front door of T1. These death timers are not exactly the longest, but the Nexus turrets are going down. Still, Owner standing his ground, trying to take control. They'll take both Nexus turrets, but they're not able to end the game. And now, Destiny has been procced. Teleport to come in here, as Delight is in a lot of trouble at this point. He is going to be sacrificed. And now Faker's teleported over. Is this the count to win now for T1 as the gold card is going to connect? Doran is not able to get out of this one. And that's Faker locking that one down. Remember, guys, the Baron is still up.
Yeah, the Baron is up.
Can just walk on over.
And also, so is the Ocean Soul here for T1. They might be able to get both out of Hanwha Life's overextension. A miscalculation on ending the game. Vision here to see Zeka trying to threaten that mid push. The Nexus is open and naked, but it doesn't matter. You only have an Azir to worry about here. They tracked him well, and they will be able to turn the Baron around, as this fight is absolutely wild. But again, T1 have such fantastic turn, and when they have the cross here from Faker, when Hanwha Life go in, everything is spent on the Zeus, and so Faker's like, this is going to be one of the greatest packages in pro play of all time. As Hanwha Life Esports are super priced into this, look at the layering of damage here, and the Doran over the wall to kill Guma is so massive there. Without that play, I think T1 again have a much better chance with all that damage coming through, but they do ultimately win it and fail the push. And that is Baron plus Ocean Soul over to T1, and now they're suddenly back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, They do have an exposed Nexus, which is a little scary, a little frightening, you could say. Life Esports now going to push down with this super minion towards that exposed inhibitor, but there are still inner turrets in top and bot lane. And with the Baron, I don't think that Life Esports are going to be getting anywhere near that Nexus at any point in time. Troll Ward put down as well just to make sure there aren't any cheeky wards for the teleport still. Zekker and Doran don't have theirs up and available. As with 5 members of Life Esports here, it is very difficult to defend. And now Magnustorm is going to get that engage on through. Peanut taking so much damage now, able to use Owner to try and taxi out, but the double knockup is fantastic from Doran. They take down the Thresh and the Rel, and now Fumiyushi is exposed. He's going to get snared, and now the game is finally over. Life Esports, it looked dicey after that push. Failed, but this time around, the Nexus will go down.
Pick blue side again. I think we'll see a massive change up in draft here. I do not think they will give the Senna over a second time, but so far the focus is still on those 11-0s. The 11-0 Maokai, the 11-0 Orianna here, taken off, and draft looking pretty similar. We'll see if T1 this time wants to play the Senna themselves.
Yeah.
Or ban it here in this third slot.
And this was all Peanut bans. Last time around, it was Maokai, Vi, and Poppy. This time, it's Maokai, Vi, and Jinx as, yeah, T1 have decided they're going to first pick Senna this time around. The Tahm Kench still going to be the ban away. And so what is the pick alongside Nautilus that Life Esports are going to go for after this Senna is locked in? It was very obvious that that was what was going to happen. But now, is it just going to be, like, Nautilus Zeri? Is that what they're planning to play? I don't know whether that's necessarily that great.
The Varus has been the go-to here for Viper in situations like this, but you know, Nautilus plus the Varus isn't an amazing combo in terms of what you could do later on in terms of poking and stuff like that. It's not going to control the lane very well. And we'll pick up the Nautilus as a denial here.
Yeah.
And now, you know, we've seen Keria play a ton of different champions here. Whenever a Senna gets locked in,
Sion was buffed.
Yeah. Orin is still, you know, decent. We just have no idea. And they might keep that a secret for a very long time. As once again, Zeus will look to play around just having Perma Prio in top with a range advantage. And this is what T1 did. Before, the old champion was Aatrox. It's like the meme where he's looking towards the hotter new top lane, the range champion. He's like, ooh, Twisted Fate, though. That seems to have Perma Prio. I'm going to blind this instead now. And they just allows them to play so much through bottom side here and keep the Senna lane safe. See if it's going to be a Keria pick here or if they're just going to keep that a secret for now.
Yeah, I do think that it's a bit weird that they didn't decide to lock in something like the Rek'Sai, because Rek'Sai Sejuani we've seen is so devastating. It's not even going to be the pick. It's the Zeri Nautilus lane that I was talking about earlier on. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think that Zeri is so incredibly strong with enchanters, but they needed to deny the Nautilus.
Yeah.
And Viper is really good at Zeri, so I guess that's the angle that they're going to go for.
Zeri can be deceptively strong in early to mid-game team fights, especially in the early game Senna timeline. So if Viper just forces fights non-stop and eventually gets a few kills, has his Zeri moment, then I could see this composition really snowballing quite effectively before the late game happens, especially if you're considering the Twisted Fate angle here. Not a very tanky composition for the side of T1. As we will see that Taliyah denied. Love the Rek'Sai ban this time around. Adaptation into what was a very successful game there from Doran in our first. Faker's pool getting thinned out a little bit. The Azir is still available.
Likely to be the R4 pick here for Zekker is what we'd be assuming.
Assuming it's not banned, yeah.
I'd personally like to see something else, just because I feel with Sejuani you open up so many doors for Zekker's champion pool to really flourish. But we'll just have to see what Life Esports are going to go for there, because they didn't ban away the Azir themselves. They took away the Ornn, of course, one of Keria's favorites, alongside the Senna. I think that Sion is probably the one that is likely to come through in its place.
You have, you know, the Yone pick here for Zeka, potentially. You know, they have the Jack. Okay, that's taken away now. You have the Jack's angle as well that Doran couldn't end up playing since T1 didn't pick it away. And, I mean, I feel like if you lock Azir here, it doesn't feel amazing with the Sejuani, but it does still feel pretty powerful for those early to mid-game team fights, and then you can still pick something for Doran in the top lane that pairs with this, like the Jax, as there's no way for T1 to pick that away anymore. They already locked in the Twisted Fate. They already have the Lee Sin picked up, so there's a lot of different picks that Doran could play with this pick. As Faker is just once again going to go back to, well, I was going to say Corki, but he's going all in on scaling. I feel like this is a huge mistake to play the Kassadin here into this comp. So strong in the mid game. Much rather see a Corki or an Aurelion Sol if you just want to slam down a late game scaling pick. I like this pick a lot more.
That is Graves being hovered right now for Keria. Probably not going to be what is locked in. K'Sante Senna. That is an option. The Scion is obviously what we were expecting. But K'Sante would be an interesting one. Still, Scion going to come through, of course, is just a brick wall on that bottom side. Farms incredibly effectively as well in 1v2. That is likely where he is going to be.
Can also just, you know, end up doing some cool interactions with the Senna route, where you just punt a minion at the Zeri, lock her down.
That was the old G2 special, if I remember correctly. There is the Jax that you were talking about.
Yeah, just going to be the Jax here for Doran. And, you know, the Jax has been pretty decent into Twisted Fate. Obviously, the Twisted Fate outranges you, can, you know, stun you if, you know, the follow-up is coming through, like Peanut comes over, but it's really difficult to deal with Counter-Strike when ganks do come towards the top side. And Owner will have to play a little bit towards bottom side, I think, in the early stages of this game, just simply because eventually there's going to be all-in angles for the Zeri. The Scion pick makes it a little bit tougher, but if you don't end up getting a knock-up onto the Zeri will just out-damage you. And early fights around Drakes become so incredibly hard to pilot here as T1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
T1 fans are extraordinarily loud today. We're not even on their side of Wallpark. I'm normally completely trolled by the fact, I'm like, whoa, they're so loud, but that's because we're on their side. No, they're on the other side, and it was almost deafening.
Well, there's also T1 fans on the Hanwha side, as it turns out. There's no rule where you have to, like, indicate your fandom, and then you can never sit on the other side, but there's just so many T1 fans that does happen. As Keria is doing the dance here. I don't know what to call that, but it's the correct skin.
It is a bit Pacific Rim vibed. I do like that, as he can become a choo-choo train, and that is the most important thing.
I've never picked any Scion skin that wasn't that one, ever. Not even once.
I'm a big Lumberjack fan. Do really like the Lumberjack skin, but it is less cool because you don't turn into a train.
Khan picked it like once or twice, I remember.
Yeah, he was a Lumberjack enjoyer.
He played a lot of Train Scion as well, but he would occasionally do Lumberjack for you. I could feel it was definitely a shout out to Atlas moment.
Thanks, Khan. I appreciate you.
Keria did go Unsealed Spellbook, which is quite common on this pick, so there's some fun stuff you could do with early game control over dragons and stuff like that, where you can try to look for a smite fight into your favor, shore up some of the weaknesses this comp has around objective control early.
Yep.
Or packages become a big relevant thing that Faker can utilize. As now 8 wins for Zeka on this Azir. I think he's really turned around his Azir play since 2022, you know, starting with Worlds. As Yaguma, all time, has never lost a game of Senna, including internationals.
He's doing pretty well, as Keria is taking a fair bit of damage. Not going to find too much there with the Q as the response, but of course not the end of the world. We've seen a lot of Senna lanes get kind of abused in the early stages, and you just press Q a few times and everything is kind of alright.
I mean, T1 was kind of considered the Senna team. Like, they played Senna Wukong at MSI.
Yeah.
They just do whatever they want with it, but this is definitely going to be a comp that can run into issues here. As once again, Owner's going to put the pressure onto Peanut here on red buff.
Yeah, he is going to interrupt the Resonating Strike quite nicely there is Peanut, but still going to lose out on this trade pretty hectically. And the red buff going to lose interest. You can see Owner now moving on over, and Peanut will be able to sweep out the fact that the Lee Sin is still in the area, but I don't think Peanut's going to be able to do too much about it. Might need to just move over to the other side. Zeka down to 200 health here in the mid lane as well. Not going to be a whole lot of help with this battle in the jungle occurring.
Yeah, Delight roaming.
Okay, Hook gonna miss onto Faker here, as Delight is just going to protect his Azir. This is a very large wave. My goodness. Okay, well, Owner is up here towards his top side. Peanut gets on in there, just to try and grab some little rocks, but not going to be able to get too much. And 13 to 17, the early game advantage there. Quite large for Owner.
Yeah, so frustrating here for Doran, as Delight looks for another opportunity here.
Yeah, another hook is going to go wide.
Doesn't flash for it or anything, but But the early game here for T1, once again, just playing around the fact that Owner is pushing towards red buff. He has the red buff advantage. Try to look for the 3 buff take there onto Peanut. Comes over and he's like, well, I'm going to slow you. You can't actually win this fight. And even though it's Nazir versus Corki, the prio was Faker's. And Doran is obviously getting pushed in on the top lane by this Twisted Fate that T1 know exactly how much pressure they can put on with Owner. And both of his early games here, game 1 to 2, has been really fantastic, giving T1 a lot of agency. And you can see already in the gold graph here a significant advantage from his pressure alone with these winning lanes. Just T1 things.
Yeah. Doran going to cancel his back here, as you can see. Manages to get the cannon, as does Zeus, who is thinking about a cheetah recall himself. Doesn't have teleport, of course. And only level 5, so no gating back to lane or anything like that. Peanut will be able to get himself some shellfish here towards the bottom side. And no big advantages, but decent amount of gold over to T1 as, TF exists and stuff like that. The Gambler pretty good at making sure that money is in their favor.
Yeah, that's a decent amount of that gold lead. A lot of the other parts, just the farm advantage that Owner has here in the jungle. As a cull was picked up here for Viper while Delight was roaming, so he is going to have a really strong mid-game spike here fairly early. And even picking up the Shiv is going to make things a lot more comfortable for him. He can make a larger impact on the map with that before Guma, can really deal with those waves. So Hanwha Life Esports will have a lot of power around that window of time once the cull completes here, even if he doesn't have his Zeri moment in terms of kills.
Yep.
Do like this purchase quite a bit. As Doran went fleet footwork again here on this Jax.
Delight is just not... He's playing River Nautilus at this point. Owner going to start off the bubs. I'm pretty sure Delight knows what's going on. Peanut is going to dive out as the hook comes out of nowhere. Thanks for that one, Jonah Strong, for the jump scare as they do find the permafrost onto Owner. The flashes come forward, and there is first blood going to the Sejuani. The punishment and the long con by Delight.
That was really well played. Even though the hook misses, he still has the root. He's still got his passive, and he will still help secure that kill. Goes over to Peanut here. Now Zeus under a little bit of pressure, signed to ult.
Oh, he's going to get interrupted as well on the Destiny as Doran's going to jump his way out. Teleport going to come on in here as it's Carrier making his way up towards this top side. It means he's not going to be there in the bottom lane to farm things out. Viper getting a bit of respite. And I actually really like that Hanwha Life are doing this, right? Because Zeri is notably a very good farmer underneath turret, right?
Especially when you consider that it's just a Scion that's pushing in. There's not really a strong engage. There's no way. There's a way to push the wave to the turret, but there's no way to then punish Zeri as she sits on the turret. So they're kind of flipping the narrative here in terms of the big roaming support often being the Senna, so to speak, because she's not farming, trying to get value around the map. It's actually in this case the Nautilus on the farming Zeri side that's actually making those big plays proactively here. As Delight purchases a control ward, allows himself to stay hidden here. He knows it guaranteed. Goes over to this crush here. And even though Delight's hook misses, they end up following up, obviously, and Delight can end up getting the root here. Good flash there from Owner. The timing, fantastic. Will force out a follow-up flash there from Delight. But he does ultimately still go down. Really big play here from Hanwha Life to bring the gold back even.
Still, no big advantages. Of course, Twisted Fate just making it really hard to find a gold lead. Still, first blood going to Peanut isn't end of the world for T1, and they still have all of those scaling options. I mean, it's Senna, Corki, and Scion. All three of these champions scale to infinity. It is just kind of nutty. Corki not so much, but just gets so incredibly powerful. It kind of feels like that. As Gumayusi coming on over to grab some souls in the mid lane. Peanut just stealing away the Gromp here towards the top side of the map. 50% health. And now Zeus is potentially in trouble. Finds a gold card onto Peanut, who will throw out the ulti and eventually flashes his way out. Still, Owner is able to lock down the kill. Now Doran, he's going to get taken down as well. The gold card is going to connect, and he's not going to be able to get the follow-up. And T1, they punish hard.
Doran's typing, got a plate worth in the chat right now, as that was not it, unfortunately, for Hanwha Life Esports. A huge botch on the dive as the gold card is used on the Sejuani. Smart call there from Zeus. Obviously, the counter-strike would have otherwise denied it. And Peanut takes too much aggro. They know Owner is rotating up. Peanut flashes still, so 2 flashes down, and they fail to play. Zeus ends up being the biggest benefactor. And a very awkward moment here for Hanwha Life Esports. 1 step forward and 2 steps back.
Yeah. And It's a little bit of a worry as Control Ward in the back of the pit here. T1 knows that this Drake has been started up, but it looks like Harmalife Esports will be able to lock this one down. So once again, first Drake going over their way as Doran is here on this top side, doesn't have his teleport available. The Twist of Fate still on top side of the map as well. As Ona going to safeguard his way in, and he's just going to steal it away. It's highway robbery from this Lee Sin. He's even able to interrupt Peanut, who does get the permafrost. Viper now looking for an opportunity, but the kickback is too good. Emperor's Divide also fantastic, and the burst fire is there. Carrier going to get taken down into his zombie form, and he's going to find no value. And Wolf, are we certifying it?
I'm going to certify it. I've got my stamp out right here and just slamming it down on the table. And this is exactly what I'm talking about with this composition for Hanwha Life. It is so easy for them to win long-term skirmishes into T1's composition because there's no real strong front line. Yeah, you got a Buckler as support Scion, or really farming Scion bottom side, but otherwise, you know, these early fights, the Zeri just has so much mobility as well. Don't make me watch it again.
Yeah, oh dear.
So Counter-Strike is out here onto the Jax, so that's why he stuns Pino, takes an extra turret shot. Their owner is over here for the play. Zeus is like, thank you very much. We'll be able to grab that kill as well, so not even both kills going over to the Lee Sin, as Delight is making things happen here once again. But look at Viper's positioning in this fight, as yeah, you got the dragon, but you priced yourself into this extended fight, and Viper's just sitting here full health going, yeah, okay, you can go on me, you're taking that Q into me, okay. Senna can't do anything here, and Corki can't do anything either.
Whoa. There's a lot of people here in this top lane. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all right.
We're going to see whether Peanut can actually try and get some sort of gank working, as in goes Doran, finds a counter-strike onto 2. Q connects here, but the dredge line, the depth charge, absolutely fantastic here from Delight. Still, there is the package delivered right underneath the turret. No one's gone down just yet, though. Another hook is going to connect as they're trying to juggle, and there is the kill going over to Delight.
Ekka's coming up.
Yeah, this is starting to get scary. These health bars are relatively low, but Zekka is kind of here by himself.
And he doesn't have ult.
Yeah, it's not exactly a kill opportunity. As, all right, Control Ward has been put down, and there is the Hex Flash over from Delight. Doesn't quite find the value. Shifting Sands gets Zekka out of dodge, as we're just back to laning. All right.
Yep, everybody calm down. Everything's fine. Now, this is the Shiv spike I was talking about with Viper, where Carrier on a Scion, you know, is going to never die, but will never be able to deny plate gold over, never going to be able to get back control of this bottom lane, won't be able to control mid lane either when Viper comes over there, so he needs to be able to make a larger impact, or Guma needs to start making larger impacts on his own. Otherwise, this area is just going to naturally scale up through this mid game. The Sentinel will be stronger later, arguably, depending on the game state. But right now, the Zeri feels like a goddess here across the Rift. And the top side play, once again, the package gank. We saw it in game 1, failed there. Fails here from some good plays from Delight there. Hanwha Life defend it, and now Faker is packageless. Doesn't get anything out of it. Really unfortunate. Also teleport down now on the Corki. Zekka picks up that early Nashor's Tooth. And Hanwha Life really feeling quite nice with their position here after a few whoopsies in the early game.
Yeah, I would say so too. Let's have a look at the replay to this top lane fight as well, as Doran starts it off pretty nicely with that Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it starts off with a nice Counter-Strike. The ult comes through here from Peanut, and Faker does still commit to this play here onto Doran. And even though Delight takes a bunch of package damage here, it's still early. Look at this hook from Delight. Keeps Zeus into the turret for one extra shot, and that is the end of that. Even with those low health bars there, Faker is not going to stick around.
Oh, I was thinking maybe there would be some action as Delight and Sejuani up here. I don't know why I decided to say Delight and Sejuani instead of Delight and Peanut, but I did. It was just what I decided to go with. As we do have some bubs going down. And should be able to stick around for a few of them. Void Mites might be available here for T1 in a few moments, but I don't think they're going to try and go for the final one. So Harmalife Esports should be able to get that if they would like it. Peanut is back in base though, so they'll just leave that one in the pit for the next couple of moments. And should be only 3 going over to T1.
Yeah, this is going to be Viper just coming in here looking for the all-in.
He's just going to ult, and he's going to make sure that Carrier turns into a train, and he is going to get out of there.
I feel like that's pretty worth, because without the ultimate from Carrier in this next Drake fight, you know, it's going to be a little bit more awkward for them to fight this one out. As Faker used the package topside there, we'll see what he can purchase on his way back. Didn't end up buying the Hexstreaker this time around, so slowing his build down significantly this time around in this second game. Does finish his Muramana. Frozen Heart is done for Carrier as well, as this fight is really huge for T1 if they could somehow miraculously win it. I just don't know if they even want to opt in. I mean, there's just so many great ways to shut down this early Senna right now on Hanwha Life's side. And I think opting into this and losing another fight into this area is just opting into losing this second game.
Yeah, Owner is on vision, remember, as Zeka is just going to deliver him to the rest of Hanwha Life, and Viper is now on a killing spree. It's a disaster for T1.
Yeah, that's a third kill for the Zeri, and that means no Dragon contest here whatsoever. They can get the Herald in exchange as they do start moving towards this top side. Maybe they want to get something like a Jax as well, as Doran does have Flash. He has his ultimate available to see if they can get him. If he just walks it out, they can get the turret here.
Yeah, and Doran's Spidey senses were tingling. I just don't know whether it's going to be enough.
Zeka's TP is coming up in just a second as well. I don't know if they can really stick around and try to force this.
Yeah, and in fact, Viper was moving up as well. The ganking Zeri, the most unexpected of gankers, as he is now just going to shove this wave towards the turret. This has been, like, the most unfettered Zeri ever.
Yeah.
Viper, he's just come into team fights, taken kills. Orcs, pay attention, please. But Viper has just kind of had a free laning phase and even found some skirmish kills and taken advantage of those too.
And it's a Azir or it's a Zeri that you're laning into as the Scion, as they are going to try to come over here and contest this Herald now. Hanwha Life, they win this one, it's pretty much lights out. And T1 just walk away. And that is the concern of this accelerated Zeri. And I mentioned this in draft, I feel like the Scion can't really do what a Nautilus can do. Scion is kind of an ult button and a very large Q that if you stand in, you know, he makes an impact in the fight. If you don't, he doesn't do what a Nautilus does. A Nautilus has a massive ultimate that's going to hit multiple people. It's targeted. He can Q multiple times in a fight. The Scion is now just sitting on a turret against a Shiv Zeri or a Nashor's Tooth Azir and just getting beaten on. And Keria has made very little impact. Meanwhile, Delight, 100% kill contribution here, 100% participation on this Nautilus. He's everywhere all the time, and Hanwha Life's early game has just been going swimmingly.
Yeah, I feel like Delight has, he took the All-Pro vote personally or something like that. He really wants to tell everyone that he is in fact still an absolute god on engaged supports, and he is demonstrating that here today
This
on
moment.
the Nautilus in back-to-back games. And yeah, Zeka just says, no, you're coming over here.
Yeah, that was just a really good call with the ward that they had there on the Krugs. A little bit of greed there as Owner was hoping his team would maybe rotate over and collapse on a slower neutral fight there with the Corki. And he's just a victim of vision.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the mid turret going down before the charge even happens.
And so now Shelly going to keep that health bar as Doran does have his counter-strike, and it's going to be difficult here for Owner to find too much. Does just kick him away as Faker trying to convince Peanut that he is not welcome in his jungle. Peanut probably not really going to listen to that one too much as Viper tanks a casual turret shot. Delight now looking to come on over. There are a lot of people towards the top side of the map, as you can see.
Zeka has teleport, so if they want to continue to push this, they are going to have to be very cautious of this. He can both get this outer turret bottom side and make an impact here top side. There's that TP.
Yeah, and now the flash forward from Delight. He'll find the depth charge onto Gumayusi, and this center is in a lot of trouble. Zeka going to fly on over, does find the Arise, and then the Sand Soldiers will finish the job. Doran actually getting the kill, kind of big here as well. That Jackson in a side lane is very, very scary, and Viper just back to killing the minions.
Viper's been playing this so well. He knows he can rotate between top and mid so easily. Every single time there's a potential skirmish there, he's like, I'm so ahead of the curve. I'm so fed. I have Runins, you know, at 16 and a half minutes. I will go up there and make an impact in this top side fight if you guys want to continue to force the issue. T1 trying to get a cross map there, knowing there's no one who could stop this Azir push. They're like, well, we have to get something here, but the turret is even so healthy that you really have to question what's the angle here for pushing Guma. It's not like he's getting plate gold or anything here. Zeka had teleport. They should have been able to track that, and T1 falling apart a little bit here on the map. And yeah, the game state is definitely not good for them, but it feels like it's getting worse all the time as the Scion has still been completely invisible this game.
Yeah, the Scion and the Senna not really reaching the point where they're able to be that relevant, and with the acceleration from Viper, it is just so incredibly scary. That on top of the fact that it's Viper, right? Like, we just know that this guy is always just going to be good in a team fight. Could we be looking at exactly what I was saying before, where it's T1 falling down 0-2, as this might mean no, as Dawning Shadow is going to fly on over as well, and there goes the Azir. Now Doran, that is an unfortunate teleport, if ever I've seen one, as Keria with a celebratory faceplant into the wall.
Keria also flashing there. Very strange exchange, as he will be able to get Doran's teleport in his flash as well, but...
Okay, Hook is going to connect here as there's the ulti out from Viper. Faker now in a whole lot of trouble as the Piercing Darkness comes in, but the flash forward from Viper says no. And now the Mega Cone from Gumayusi still. Viper able to get these burst fires over, just dashes over the wall. There's the Extendo Beam, but good sidestep from Gumayusi. Still, that's going to put some fear in him.
Yeah, it certainly will. I mean, now he's flashless, so the sidestep was good, but if you're just watching how these skirmishes play out, every time T1 looks like maybe they got an edge, maybe they got an advantage, you look at the Summoners, you look across the Rift, and you're like, well, not really. Viper's still the king of Summoners Rift here in this second game. And Zeus, he ends up getting a big shutdown of gold there on that last play top side, but it doesn't necessarily ultimately matter that much as Doran is still Jax in the side here, and now that he's shadowed, now that they push the Senna away, he should be able to get this turret as well. We'll put Hanwha 2 turrets up on T1. A Fed Zeri and Azir getting closer to that Liandry's breakpoint here. I mean, plays like this, I think, are absolutely necessary, and this is why T1 is such a resilient team. Despite deficits like the gold one they're in right now, they can make proactive plays. As Keria fail flashes the wall there, and that's why he ulted like that. And it's a little bit rough as Faker gets caught here as well by Delight, who just feels like he is everywhere, man. It's a global Nautilus. He's just involved in every single fight that T1, or rather the Hanwha Life, is opting into. Good sidestep you mentioned from Guma, otherwise this is even worse.
Yeah, and I was doubting the Nautilus Zeri, but the way they played it into the Senna Scion lane was just beautiful, you know? Like, just opt in to River Nautilus, you know? Get him around the map, get him involved. And you mentioned already, I mean, he's still sitting at 100% kill participation. This guy is, like you say, he's just everywhere.
And the skirmish that T1 opted into on that Dragon, like, you got the Dragon Steel, be happy with that. I mean, that when we rewind this game, that is what the big story is about. That's when you start to see this map turn, or this gold graph turn red. It's been getting redder since, as Delight was roaming the entire time, but once Viper became online, they just have this kill squad. And it's so difficult to deal with this Jax that's also starting to really be a big threat as well. He just runs forward with the follow-up stun for anyone that Delight hooks, and then Viper just wipes them off the map. It's a Chemtech Soul, so T1 leading the Dragons here doesn't even feel that significant either.
No, it's not exactly the greatest. And we almost have Infinity Edge completed for Viper. When that third item is done, this area is going to be so scary. And with Liandry's now complete for Zeka, they can threaten Baron very effectively. Their Baron damage extremely high with the 2 damage dealers that they have. On top of Jax, who does a decent amount as well. They'll start this one up. It is dangerous, and full vision was given over to T1. Of course, you can still press that Destiny button if you would like to. And so there they go. Hanwha have already backed away from this one. There's the kick forward. Good Arctic Assault there, but Doran's still going down so incredibly low. Delight also having to flash away as there's a Flash Emperor's Divide, but it's whiffed entirely from Zeka, and T1 will punish immediately. Now Viper still trying to get damage down, able to buffer that gold card nicely, but now with a man advantage, T1, they might just move over to the Baron themselves.
Oh man, Zeka's going to be feeling that one tomorrow. He better stay off the internet for a little while, as that was such a cool idea. But the rest of his team was clearly backing out. He goes for it anyways. Now, Hanwha Life, they're not just going to go quietly to that good night. They've got a Fed Zeri.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to contest.
These extendo beams are scary. There is the hook in, but he's not as tanky as he was last game. And Delight will just immediately get punished.
Peanut has Flash.
Yeah, they want to try and get on in here. Doran's at full health now as Viper has pressed that ultimate button. This is kind of a Zeri fight, and he's going to take out Zeus first. Into the pit they go, but the Baron is still going to go over to T1. So still their advantage, and Zeka will teleport in, but it's a bit too late.
Yeah, I'm not super happy with the handling there from Hanwha of this scenario, because they basically just opted into losing Peanut there. He didn't even commit to flash in. They didn't have enough control to actually look for the contest there. And yes, it's a Fed Zeri, but you just don't have vision. You don't have any way of getting into the pit and consistently doing that damage. You don't have any lockdown for anybody. So poor Zeka. As Owner's up here in the front line, Senna ultimate is pretty high value. The kick actually buys enough time for them to retreat away. And then it's a really good flash there from Owner, and Zeka just completely whiffs and just throws himself into the bin. And then as T1 start to do the Baron, like, the angle here is not great. If Peanut was actually in the pit or had flashed in earlier, maybe he ends up getting the steal and gives his life for it, but it's like he's deciding whether he wants to actually commit to living or whether he wants to commit to the Baron, and he will not flash to the pit, nor will he live. As Viper does end up taking out Zeus, so that's one consolation prize they do end up getting here, but the teleport commitment as well from Zeka, who doesn't have ult, is just a little bit sus.
Yeah, was definitely very well handled by Ona, just over the wall, back and forth, making sure that Peanut wasn't able to get anything done. The best way to guarantee that you can take the Baron is by killing the enemy jungler, and that is precisely what he did. And now you can see Goldgraf moving back towards Homolife Esports.
IE done for Viper with that 5th kill. It's the Viper story, you know, with this roster always.
Yeah.
It's going to be me to carry again, isn't it?
And we'll see whether he actually can do so, of course. As you mentioned, I mean, the gold, like it is just base gold from the Baron. Once again, I feel like we're having a mirrored game this time around. 44 seconds on this Chemtech Drake. As Homolife Esports just trying not to take too much poke damage. There is the back to come through from Gumayushi.
Faker does complete his Maw, does take a lot of damage from Zeka, but not so much from Viper if he does end up getting ulted on. So he has to be really careful about how he wants to use his packages here. And he may just simply opt into the fights they know they have guaranteed prio on to avoid getting packaged whatsoever.
Whoa, there's another flash forward here as Emperor's Divide is going to be used just to get Zeus out of here. The ulti comes through from Viper. He does do a lot of damage, but T1, the Phalanx has been put together. And there goes Zeka once again. Oh, feels like Zeka, that play from earlier on kind of got into his head perhaps, but it was a good pick off from T1 nonetheless.
Doran's going to teleport top here to try to trade turrets as T1 used the last 20 seconds of this Baron. To push mid. Faker is going to come over and try to deal with him in this side, but it is a Jax inside. So he's looking for Faker, actually. I don't know about this.
Faker is going to have to flash, but there's a flash through from Doran. Dawning Shadow does come down, but there is another leap strike, and Doran gets himself out. And okay, Doran. I mean, he's starting to become scary.
Yeah, that was a very scary moment there for Faker, but he also could have just perhaps looked to focus down the turret instead, but it's a trade of flashes you'll take as the Jax that has a little bit of inherent mobility versus this Corki, who has his own, but a pretty long cooldown, and one that you have to hold when you're holding package. Doran is just constantly putting this pressure on. He committed his teleport for this, and I don't feel like it has been a waste necessarily, but he's not getting the value he wanted as T1 just calmly takes soul point. Doran's going to get out of here. Is maybe a backstop?
Yeah, Peanut is just being as frustrating as possible and succeeding.
These games just don't breathe, do they, Atlas?
No, they don't. And I'm not going to lie. I wasn't prepared for this level of intensity. It's neck and neck again. I swear 26 minutes in game one, it was the same thing.
Yeah. It was like 9-9. I remember you calling out the kill score. And we were like, well, it's anyone's game. Obviously, there are really strong win conditions here for both teams this time around. You know, you have the Corki coming online here. The Senna is stacking up, even though it wasn't a very high-impact game for the Scion early. He still farms, right? He still uses gold very efficiently and will, of course, infinitely scale, as you mentioned. Keria will be a lot more relevant later on. And Zeka, you know, he ended up hitting his 2-item spike, but has since kind of, you know, made some interesting choices that have led to his demise.
Yeah.
And it's all about, it's like Viper versus Faker and Guma in this one.
Yeah, and I was actually a little bit puzzled earlier on today because we saw the break screen, and normally it's like the lane matchups that's there. You know, you've got Viper versus Death or something like that. This time around, it was actually Faker versus Viper. And now I've realized why, because that's precisely what this game is all about.
Yeah. And Faker so far, you know, he does have that 3rd item spike completed now. It took him a little bit longer because he went for the Maul. Is a very good choice into Zeko, obviously, in this game. There's a lot of other AP sources. You saw the lifeline popped by Doran moments ago. But now he's really going to be a huge threat in these neutral fights here. Yeah. The Baron being the next big objective to spawn that both teams are really going to be focused on in T1. So already setting up deep vision for this.
You can see Zeka, yeah, just on that bottom side of the map, does have teleport at the ready. Doran doesn't have his. That's why Zeka is spending time in the bottom lane. A little bit of a gank attempt there from T1. 44 seconds prior to this Baron.
Ooh,
as
Peanut.
She could be in trouble. The smite to break the shield does manage to find the ulti, and boom goes the dynamite. 6-0 now for Viper, and Homolife Esports, they can have control of the river.
How do you like that blast cone, Valdez? I have seen pigs fly. I've seen pigs fly right now on my screen, right there.
No disengage cone this time.
The T1 fan said maybe Peanut will fly. Maybe when pigs fly, I'll see that Peanut Sejuani come over there and punish my Guma, but pigs did fly and Guma did die. 6 kills for Viper. Hanwha Life, at a very critical moment, end up picking the enemy AD carry here. Now they have a free Baron take, or rather start. Not a take that, not just yet. Zeka has his ultimate available. Faker does have TP.
Yeah, package also going to be picked up here, so he can teleport to the wave on the top side of the map. Hanwha Life Esports going to back away from the Baron. Not wanting to deal with that, especially with the package available, as now Carrier going to get engaged on. There is a hook that's going to land. He is so tanky though. Not going to be necessarily a target that you can burst down. Still, they get the Destiny out from Zeus, who is now just going to turn his attention back towards this Baron one more time as well. He's found his way in behind enemy lines.
Good zoning smash there from Carrier, but they're losing control quickly as Viper is level 16.
Yeah, package is going to be delivered just to Peanut here, as it was probably wearing off, and now Delight going to answer with that depth charge. The flash over from Viper, the assassin Zeri, and Owner is going to kick him away, but it's not going to be anything that's actually able to help out here, as now Carrier taking damage. Owner will be taken down. There goes the jungler, and T1 are falling apart. Somehow that Glacial Prison connects onto Carrier, and now 5 versus 3. Hanwha Life Esports will start off the Baron. Another hook is going to connect on Zeus, and Zeka is going to make up for that ultimate from earlier. Peanut finds the Arctic Assault flash, and Zeus will be taken down. His opposite number picking up the double, and there's the Baron for Hanwha Life.
Hanwha Life Esports going to take this Baron, and with it, control over the map for the foreseeable future, if not for the rest of this game. Carrier, very tanky. See if he can get his way out of this one.
Yeah,
I don't think
Portal
so.
combat here on the top side of the map. Doran is going to break that vow, and Carrier's running the wrong direction. He is likely going to die here.
His ult is coming up.
Will almost be the ace, but it's not actually going to be the way, as now we're going to check this one out one more time.
This is how it all starts.
On a ward, man.
Yeah,
on a ward.
on a ward. This is how it all starts off. Peanut comes over here, flies across, and they get the zap for the kill there. The Extendo Beam comes over. And then in this fight, obviously, it's going to be very broken up. The package is no value. It doesn't even look like it was a package at all because it's just used on the wall there. And then Viper flashes for the kill. The fight's over at this moment. Like, there is nothing else you can do as T1, as Guma is trying to kite back into the front line, but Owner is isolated. And Guma is eventually going to get caught by Zeka, as he does come in for this follow-up. As look at this, we'll watch it forward. And throw on the Baron. Guma's like, well, I have to do damage. And even with the long range he has, he's in range of an Emperor's Divide. And Zeus with some fancy footwork, but that was just clean play from Viper once again. He's taken this gold and being so efficient with it, so massive. 8-0-3, he's got his Scimitar done. I don't know if this Zeri dies ever.
Yeah, he is an absolute monster. He definitely hasn't died so far this game, as there is a knock-up on a Peanut, and Peanut does not care about it whatsoever. 6,000 gold the lead for Hanwha Life Esports. They denied the soul. But that is not all that relevant because it's Chemtech hook just barely going to whiff there from Delight. As you can see, Zeus just trying to push out these waves so that Hanwha Life cannot get more than just this bottom inhibitor. But the damage has already been done. The map completely belonging to Hanwha Life at this stage of the game. And it looks like they're moving to match point. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I mean, T1, the drafts haven't been bad by any means, but game one, they had a problem with the Senna. They gave it over with Nautilus, which we've seen has such an incredible long win streak. I think it's 11 now. And then you move into the second game, and you get the Nautilus, but you get the Scion with it. A muted lane there, and it's Peanut who makes big plays early. It's Delight roaming all over the map, and Hanwha Life just seem to be the stronger team so far here.
Yeah, they just seem to have a lot of the answers as well in the draft. You saw that they did not hesitate. As soon as that center was locked in, they're like, all right, we've got Nautilus, we've got Sejuani. We're going to play around that one. Then Viper Zeri comes in, and we're like, oh, question marks. Nautilus Zeri, is that going to work? But the gameplay around it was absolutely fantastic. You can see here by the damage dealt that playing around Viper is their bread and butter. They're going to look for the engage onto Carrier. He's very tanky, but his turret is now missing. He's now going to look for a desperation engage, and it should not work out here as he's going to be going down into zombie form. Surely he is. Never mind, he's not. He's just incredibly tanky. The hook, the kick, it's going to work out here, but the disengage has to come through, and Hanwha Life Esports, yeah, I mean, they managed to avoid dying to them, but look, they didn't do any damage.
Yeah, it's funny to watch the look on Peanut's face as well, as everything is used by Guma and Owner to keep Carrier alive. But it's just a Scion, You know, it's not like it's a pick that's going to be the one that turns the fight around because it lived and it's going to go back to Fountain and teleport on flank. I mean, he did have TP, but he already used his ult to get away. It's not like Keria could have been like, aha, now, checkmate. I teleport behind you and we actually re-engage. Not going to happen this time around as Peanut and Hanwha Life continue to get a lot of deep vision here as best as they can to continue the siege.
Yeah, once again, Keria able to get vision down this time, but Peanut's there to immediately eradicate the rift of it.
It's really hard here for, you know, T1 to come back in this game, but it's also hard for Hanwha to win it before the next Baron. You know, I think the next Baron is going to be where they try to close this one out.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of range.
They don't have a lot of range.
Right.
And they don't have, you know, an insane pushing composition either, even with this Azir and Sundis turrets, you know, in terms of just engaging and finding picks and then turning the game on its head, or rather finishing the game right in that moment. It's very difficult to do unless T1 makes a mistake. So they're just putting up deep vision. All they want to do is control this Baron. They don't even need the Chemtex Dragon to come over. It's not even soul for them. And if T1 gets the soul, I don't think they care as much. They probably will contest that vision. But the Baron is really where they end the game. So that's what their main focus is going to be.
Yeah, 6 items now for Viper. He has Flame Horizon everyone on the map. It is absolutely ridiculous. Depth Charge is going to come on through, but there is that disengage cone. Validation for Valdez. And that is going to deny any sort of pick here for Hanwha Life Esports. Definitely great news for T1 though. If they had lost their jungler there, could have been dangerous. Although I think he probably would have been back up and available for these objectives to come up. It is still very intense, but it does still feel like Hanwha Life Esports have broken through that first layer and are now just looking to try and take this victory home.
Doran going to push this wave in. Obviously there's super minions on the opposite side of the map to where the Baron is, which is super frustrating for T1 to deal with. They have Faker's TP, they have Keria's TP, so someone will be able to deal with that, but super minions are a bit of an issue here for the next minute 20. And Hanwha Life has such insane Baron damage right now. They can kill it so quickly. They put up the Sundesk gear, and they have basically permanent prio all over the map. Viper is level 18. They have deep vision from top to bottom here across T1's jungle.
Viper hit 18 before Doran did.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. He is our highest level in the game as Delight is going to find Zeus. In goes Doran as well, and they will be able to lock him down. Gumayushi, he just pops like a balloon, but still, Delight taking a lot of damage. The package delivered. Ona looks for the opportunity. Empress Divide avoided, but he can't avoid the prison. And now Faker has to flash away. He does manage to take down the Jax. The extender beam avoided as well, but he's still moving the wrong direction. I don't think it's going to be enough to save them. It's only 3 kills, and Faker might be able to keep himself alive, but Peanut is going to come on over. He flashes. He doesn't manage to lock him down. As you mentioned, the teleport out from Faker, but still, Hanwha Life Esports now, they've got Nexus turrets in their eyes, and they've got a match point that they're looking to secure.
They could just go back and take Baron here. Very funny series of events. You know, the fact that they try to flash on Faker to stop his TP, the fact that he gets out, means that T1 actually have these respawns coming through here, and there's no end from Hanwha Life Esports, nor do they get the Baron. And this is a really nice attempt here, I think, for T1. All things considering where they are in this game, the game state is so against them here. They're trying to turn this around with package, but this desperation is just simply not going to work. Not enough damage here. Delight is just tanky enough here, even though it's support Nautilus. And Faker, yeah, he does get out with his life here. Sidestep is insane.
I don't know how that sidestep even worked.
It didn't look like he avoided it, but but I guess he did.
Yeah, not fair. That is just GOAT things. Sometimes you're just better.
He sees the ones and zeros.
Yeah, he does.
And so far he's seeing the 0-1 in his scoreline, but he wants to change that narrative here on this Baron fight.
They do have another fight in him. Wolf, it's 6,000 gold to lead. But we have seen already in this series, I don't think the gold really matters all that much. Both of these teams now with Soul Point available. But the inhibitor has respawned as well, so T1 are allowed on the map.
So many tools that aren't available for T1. No package, no flash for Faker, no flash for anyone but Keria.
Yeah.
And Hanwha Life Esports just put Doran in the top lane, continue to push this. And they say checkmate.
Yeah, well, there's the control ward. It goes down. Zeus is going to get knocked up, and there is nothing he could do about it. Viper, 9-0-4. On the Zeri, he has gone from problem to disaster for T1, and Hanwha Life Esports are going to head towards this Baron pit and look to try and push for the final time.
If you're a believer in the butterfly effect, if you're a believer in dominoes falling over, it all started on that poor dragon take from T1 where Owner got the smite steal, but Zeri got 2 kills. And
you certified it, Wolf, and Once that certification goes through, it is very difficult to take it away.
And I don't want to take anything away from Delight either, because I feel like this was his game. He ruled the Rift and set up Viper in so many ways, set up Doran in so many ways, and now the Baron is going to be the siege to end here. I see no world in which T1 defend this.
And look at how quickly everything goes down. Viper with 6 items is no joke. Doran going to help take down this inhibitor turret as well. He's a damage threat on top of it all. And inhibs, all just going to be removed. It is textbook play here from Harmalife Esports. And T1, their map has all of a sudden gotten extraordinarily small.
Zhonya's for Zeka, Zhonya's for Doran. There's no way to mess this up if you play it carefully, and Hanwha are.
Yeah, they're doing the very best. Keria has a gigantic health bar, but he just can't really do anything else to stop Harmalife Esports from getting on in here, making things happen. Guardian Angel done for Viper, so they're going to have to kill him twice in this fight if they are actually going to be able to hold on to this game. But you can see there are multiple siege minions still bearing down on the base, and now Doran goes in. He finds the counter-strike onto Zeus, and now Zeka gets in there! The explosion of damage is now they're in range of Viper, and that means that it's Harmalife Esports in range of winning this series with match point now available.
Hanwha has been getting the edge early in these games, especially in Game 2. And if T1 once again just play this quirky, try to play either side of the Senna, I do worry about what it means for trying to get ahead. I'd rather see T1 play something a little bit more aggressive, to be honest with you, Atlas.
Yeah, I think especially playing through the bottom lane with something a little bit more aggressive, and there is the center ban that you were talking about. That is going to be the adaptation here, as last time it was a Jinx ban that was the final one. Nico going to be taken off the board here as well.
Great ban here.
And there is the Kalista lock-in. What does it mean for how this draft is going to play out, though? What is the answer for Harmalife Esports? Because this is exactly the adaptation we were looking for.
Varus, and maybe even you just go straight into the Taliyah here as Zeka, if you feel confident that you can play it blind here, deny it from Faker, because these types of drafts are exactly what I was looking for T1, where you grab the Kalista early. Kalista Nico's been super strong, even if it's Faker playing Nico in the mid lane. They love to play those Nocturne drafts when they're playing the Kalista. So really smart adaptation here when they see the Senna ban to ban the Nico away. The Taliyah I mentioned will be Zeka's answer, as they're just not going to allow Faker to make that roaming impact to the bottom lane. And I think Hanwha have a similar read on this series as I do, in that T1 wanted to pick up the Taliyah here. Now they're going to outrange it, or outrange the Kalista, that is to say, in the bottom lane. We'll see what the plan is going to be for support here. We've seen a lot of different stuff from Keria specifically with the Kalista. Yeah. He's even played the Kalista support himself. Kalista Rumble.
Kalista Rumble could actually be the lock-in here. We do see the Rumble lockdown. We see the zoom in onto Keria as well. And that is Lissandra being considered here by Faker, something that can very much help with locking down that single target and really giving them some mid-game strength in this game as well. As Faker is just having a bit of fun with this here, as we can see. Rek'Sai a consideration as well, and will be locked in. Blind towards that top side. We'll see what Doran can actually do as a response, or whether they even can, because Nautilus, if they want it, they have to lock it in here.
Yeah, and I think that they very likely just grab it. Obviously into the Rumble, you know, you can lock the Rumble down if he tries to push you under turret, and then the turret will be enough damage. Nothing really out-damages Rumble's Flame Spitter except the turret.
Yep.
And so if you could pull the Rumble into the turret and just defend those dives with the roots that Nautilus can set up there, I think it is going to be what Delight wants here. As now with the Rek'Sai coming through, we know this is almost 100% confirmation the Rumble will be support, as you know, otherwise it's Rek'Sai jungle to come through here, which has not been meta for quite some time. Now they get to focus on Faker's champion pool here further in mid. I mean, not his pool, but champions he would like to play with this composition. Anything that has follow-up engage would be fantastic. So Azir is gone, the Nico is gone. They took the Taliyah away. And Orianna already banned. And there's not a whole lot left here in this meta right now that you'd want to play. I mean, besides the Lissandra, which they may also just ban, which I think would be wise. Otherwise, maybe an Ahri pick here.
Yeah, I was thinking Ahri could be one of the options for Harmalife Esports to take away, but Lissandra, we have seen Faker use that so incredibly well in the past. And you just have to remember that he does have, like, even though he hasn't played that many champions, he's had some one-offs here and there, but it's mainly been about 4 or 5 that he's focused on this season.
Ooh,
we know that Faker does have them in his back pocket.
They're considering that this Rek'Sai, you know, I mean, the Rumble rather would not be...
The Rumble in the jungle?
Yeah, it could be. It's definitely possible. Another pick I feel like that works really well with T1's composition that we haven't talked about is the Annie. Pretty tough to play into Taliyah, but one that Faker has pulled out quite a lot.
Yeah.
As Genji, you know, have really kept it pretty standard in terms of their draft. T1 like to change things around quite a bit, and Hanwha Life just aren't ready to trust. They'll ban that Renata away. So strong in all-ins into the Nautilus. They just don't want to give them that flexibility. And they're going to go even deeper on the all-in with this draft as well with the Xin Zhao.
There is a Jax lock-in, so we're still not entirely sure as to where everything's going. Gwen, Gwen?
No, this can't be real.
Yeah, that would be weird. I was thinking like, oh yes, Gwen. But no, don't really understand that one. And Faker with a wry smile as his Ahri is going to be locked in. One of his favorite picks historically. He's been fantastic on it. And does mean that T1 have really pivoted away from what have been late game drafts to far more mid-game focus. This really does feel like their bread and butter because they've been so good at snowballing leads. As Doran onto his Aatrox here. That is his attempted answer into the Rek'Sai. We've seen it before, and we're not super fans of the Aatrox into the Rek'Sai. Of course, Rek'Sai debuted in this matchup.
Yes. I like the draft here from Hanwha Life Esports. Now, I think obviously this game is not about the draft purely. It's going to be about how much T1 can get done in the mid game with this composition. The Kalista Rumble lane is going to be very powerful, but the Nautilus here is actually so good at shutting it down, so good at shutting down dives. So Viper should be able to stabilize despite having it.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
You'd hear a little bit of the desperation in the T1 voices as they made themselves heard in the fan chants here at LoL Park. And I think everyone kind of just wants this series to continue because the level of intensity in both of the first two games has been extraordinarily high. And T1, I feel like this kind of pivot is exactly what they need. More early game pressure, early power, and especially here for this bottom lane. Keria and Gumushi have been so good in the past, and we'll see whether they can utilize this laning phase in order to find the advantage once again.
And of these three drafts, I feel like this game has the potential to be, and I think it will likely be, a very one-sided game. Just simply because either T1 get it done in mid-game or they don't. And there isn't really a, oopsie, we'll scale though, it'll be fine later on. You either win super hard or you don't get big enough advantages and Hanwha Life just crush you in the late game. And I don't think it's going to necessarily be that kind of knife's edge. We're looking at like 9 kills to 9 kills, 26 minutes, anything can happen kind of game. But I do think this style of gameplay is exactly where T1 are most comfortable. And that's why we were kind of hoping for a draft like this from them here in this third game. Glad to see they delivered.
Well, Keria not going to quite find the first harpoon there, as we could see, as Delight once again moving into position. This game of cat and mouse between these two. Very impressive. All right. Viper going to throw the hail of arrows completely away. And finally, Keria does manage to find himself a harpoon onto Delight, who's now just going to walk towards him. Does find another one here. And it looks like T1 will regain control of the bottom lane. Something to be expected.
Such a silly situation where Delight, now he knows he has the shield first, which you always will in this matchup, unless you want to just all in into a rumble and die. He's like, all right, well, I'll just keep harpooning you. Now you're out of the brush. Yep. And Delight is just pressing shield when he can. A little bit of a mini game down there as this win rate, we've seen this go both ways. It's been discussed a lot. I personally really like the Ahri into the Taliyah, but doesn't always work out with the rocks on the ground.
Ow! Viper taking so much damage here. As you can see, Gumushi with the Hail of Blades, probably going to be the more lethality-based version, so very deadly in the early stages of the game, as now Peanut has been found by Ona. Does do a fair bit of work, but you can see Peanut looking for a little bit of a turnaround. When Becomes Lightning does come in, as Zeka will have the inside track here on this particular battle. Blast Cone comes on over, there's the flash forward, and Ona locks down First Blood. Immediately it is answered, and somehow it's in fact Peanut that locks down the kill. And there is First Blood, but an assist going over to Hanwha Life Esports, so the gold is dead even.
Yeah, I guess red buff is how that kill went over for Peanut. That's really unfortunate there for Hanwha Life. Either way, more gold, in their pocket picking up that assist. I really like that Owner was able to identify quickly, like, I die no matter what, so I have to guarantee this kill onto Peanut there as soon as Zeka came over, because he's going to have fast track. He can surf his way over there, and obviously they're on his side of the rift there on red side, so Zeka comes over there and does help grab that assist. Would have felt amazing for Hanwha Life if he actually picks up the kill, a big trade down, but still, Owner's going to have that first blood advantage.
Yep.
Not going to feel too terrible about this one.
It is still going to be Peanut with a few camps in advantage. Owner is going to be able to take down this Rift Scuttler, but the Gromp is now going to be secured by Peanut. So he heads up to 24 in comparison to the 16 that Owner has collected. So still, Peanut winning out as far as the farm battle is concerned. Now going to be having a little bit of a look towards this mid lane. Faker using the very last of his mana, and Peanut just going to taxi his way through. And we'll head up towards this Rift Scuttle on the top side of the map.
Delight is just using his W to tank these Harpoons, and while they've been zoned out of a decent amount of farm here, we have seen much larger Rumble Kalista, or just in general Rumble lane advantages than the one that we're seeing here for Viper, and Delight handled this extremely well.
Well, Doran just going to miss a few Qs here onto Zeus, who utilizes the tunnel very, very nicely. Zeus is, like everybody else, been just spamming Rek'Sai in solo queue. All of our top laners making sure that they have it all down.
Yeah, it's going to end up being a fairly boring matchup to watch, unless Doran is hitting all of his abilities.
Yep.
And when he hits none of them, it just kind of ends up being a wet noodle fight.
And even if he hits all of them, Rek'Sai goes underground and everything's fine.
Yeah.
All right, we are. That's a weird time to go into a replay, but here we are in a replay.
Here we are. So Peanut does have the red buff here. They're both burning each other, and you'll see the moment Owner realizes, okay, I have to actually go for this play. Will, of course, flash follow onto Peanut. If the timing is a little bit better there for Peanut, perhaps end up getting the kill there before he can react, but Owner's never going to mess that up.
Yep.
And he ends up getting first blood, so really nicely played by him, all things considered.
See here, Carrier is hit by a rain of arrows, and I was just checking to see
Peanut.
if summoner spells is okay. Peanut's coming on over. There's the flash forward as Carrier does so much damage. Peanut's burning down. It's a 1-for-1 once again, but I don't think Peanut was expecting to die so instantly.
Didn't have flash from the previous play, that replay we just watched. And I think a lot of players really underestimate the Rumble damage in the bottom lane. We've seen this so many times, because generally a support offers you a little bit of CC or like a small amount of damage when you go for these types of ganks, but Rumble will actually just hold Q and point towards you and kill you.
Yeah.
And it ends up being Gumayusi who actually picks up that kill, which is massive here. If it's actually just a Rumble getting the kill, that's still decent for T1, but the fact that it goes over to this quickly becoming lethal Kalista here as it's traded back to Viper is still pretty significant. Now, T1, small gold advantage. This has kind of been the story of all of these early games. This one, our bloodiest yet, but still, small gold advantage for T1. Let's see if they can get anything out of it.
Yeah, it's been even trades almost this entire game so far. You can see 1-for-1s represented by the 2-2 at the top of your screen. So no one really able to find any big advantages as Hex Flash being utilized here by Carrier, having some fun on the bottom side of the map. Viper and Delight going to be able to get rid of this vision. So we're going to see this once again as Peanut just opts into the barbecue.
So Carrier has the scrap shield and actually opts to flash in to make sure he can maximize that damage there. So he is actually at the heat required to do the damage that's necessary in order to kill Peanut there. Just really good reaction from Carrier. Without his really nice play there, obviously this ends up being a disaster, but
yep.
If you're the Rumble support, you've got to know those timings, you got to know your damage. Carrier absolutely aware of it.
Also uses the flash to dodge the hook at the same time, so it's like double duty. I think maybe he was going to flash in anyway, but really nicely done just to get double value from the summoner spell. As in this mid lane, very, very even. On this bottom side of the map, it is still control picked up by T1. That the siege minion, unfortunately not going to be collected here by Viper as Owner walks over a ward. But still, T1, even though it's not going to be a successful gank with a kill or anything like that, should still be a lot of zoning being done. Plate will go down as now Zeka is going to try and mitigate it as the flick back onto Carrier, who doesn't have his flash. The hook gets in the way of the minions though, and Zeka, he has to flash to get himself out of dodge. A dangerous situation as Faker is clearing out vision here as well. He is very dangerous with Spirit Rush available. There is an equalizer, and Zeka, he's down to 100 now underneath this turret. This is so dangerous. as now Carrier looks to come in. He is definitely, never mind, the Fate's Call comes on down, Viper is burning, and Carrier's able to lock that one down. Zeka was free food there under the turret, and that's going to be lapped up by Faker, and finally they get a kill advantage.
Yeah, T1 with a huge swing of gold here after this play. And, I mean, the key of all of this is the Weaver's Wall just stops a little bit too short. Owner?
Yeah, there's another hook. It's going to connect there. They don't have a lot of damage.
No, he should be fine. He's got ult, he's got Counter-Strike, he has Flash. He's not worried about anything. But the fact of the matter is, without Delight there, Viper just can't be under turret. And you could see that the wave was stacking up because Viper was waiting for Delight to come back. He's just not going to be able to get it done without him. He didn't have level 6 Delight for that skirmish, which is really important in this moment. And the Weaver's Wall comes up short, and then Carrier's just like, well, I ult them, and then we can kill Zeka really easily. The Fate's Call timing here is so good as Carrier just hard forces the maximum amount of damage he can realistically get done here. The Ignite goes down as well. That is the
and he actually opts into dying.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That was a very weird move.
Not entirely sure what that was about.
Yeah, missed that one entirely. His hook is going to go wide. Carrier able to avoid it. But I think that as far as that play is concerned, Carrier dying to the turret, Huni would be very proud. Because that is just pure aggression.
No fear.
Yeah, he just wants to go in, and he's not worried about whether he lives or dies. That's 100% true. Is now Gumayushi going to help out with these Ren stacks, as Owner should be able to deal with this. Is now Peanut going to get dove on, has to flash, get out of the way of the Rumble as soon as that first harpoon lands, especially with the fact that he has his Sork boots now completed. This is on top of it.
This is the best early game T1 have had in these first 3 games.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a huge gold lead for them now, 1,300. They stacked that first dragon. It is not going to be a Chemtech Soul. We were able to identify that now too. It's going to be the second dragon here, so that feels really nice. And that bottom side play got them such a massive advantage. I mean, look at the CS as well, still massively favoring Guma here, 15 up. Viper not able to do anything back in this lane, and Faker is just, you know, constantly putting the pressure on here. It's never really a fun feeling to play into this Rumble lane when it's actually working, once it's starting to get ahead. The Weaver's Wall from Zeka on that last play, if it's longer there, you know, if he had a level 11 Weaver's Wall, or if he's able to get there a little bit faster, maybe they make something of it as Viper.
Yep, he's going to have to walk down the red carpet. There's a flash in, as once again they've got Fate's Call, and so he can freely do this. The hook is going to go wide as Owner is once again back, and the leap strike will lock down the kill. And now Delight is trying to grab one back. Will be able to do so as Carrier will help grab some plate gold. Weaver's Wall going to come in as well as Zeka. He came from the other direction. That's absolutely insane. As now Peanut diving on in. Wind becomes lightning. He's going to do a fair bit of work there, but Carrier still able to create the distance to get himself out. And T1 not going to find the charm as Wind becomes lightning comes through once again. Peanut closes the gap as threaded volley. Faker does have to use that charge. And they will be able to make it out to safety. Still, Zeka able to push them out. Will be able to get a plate possibly after this as well. Oh, never mind. Not quite, although might be able to get it on the next wave.
Probably so, as Viper is able to get mid lane as well, so he's able to come over here and farm these minions up. Going to be a while before Guma can go match that, or Faker in this case.
Oh dear.
Peanut stayed.
Yeah, Peanut, he's still here. Gumayushi's at full health. They're still going to go for this dive. Threaded volley is fantastic. There's the seismic shove, and Peanut, he wasn't going to die to that one. They'll take the plate, and they'll take the kill.
And Viper gets a plate mid. No answer from Faker, who had to teleport to make the play happen in the first place. And what looked very good for T1 initially ends up being a great play for Hanwha Life. And, you know, I was watching this moment going, okay, well, this is pretty doomed. I don't know if Hanwha get anything back, but Delight has some really nice plays here as well, is able to get the root, and then obviously the ultimate is really fantastic from him. Guma has to heal. It's not enough. And then on the follow-up here, okay, we're going to skip a lot of Zeka shenanigans. On the follow-up here, Guma is just dead, and his jungler is heading back topside, as they just expected Peanut to back. They didn't really have any idea. I mean, obviously, the Sentinel does see Peanut, but after it's too late.
And man, the value of Talia, you'd put rocks underneath the Callista and then put a seismic shove where she wants to go. There were not a lot of good options.
No, there's like almost, I mean, there is literally nothing you can do in that situation.
Maybe just like regular walking. But no Callista really wants to regular walk when you can do your martial pose stuff. Oh dear. Still, Gumayushi is very strong. 1, 2, and 3, and is still ahead by about 10 CS. Opportunity now done. Ghostblade is completed here for Viper though, and does have Swifties to avoid getting slowed down by these harpoons and dying immediately.
Viper, okay, hold up, Zeka?
Yeah, Charm is going to miss. Flash is going to come on through for Zeka though. So good work here from Faker to keep the pressure up. Flash advantage now secured for T1 in mid.
This lethality build for Kalista has been so popular, and it has been quite strong, especially if you have map control and you're winning really hard. And they certainly were in the early game, still have an advantage, but I feel like Viper is just going to be better poke Kalista because he actually has range, and he is going to be building lethality himself. And once you get to the point where the Varus is going to start really hurting in these fights and really chipping away at T1, it makes even the Ahri's life more difficult to play these fights out. As whenever we peel up to here, I'm always like, is somebody hiding in the brush? We have all vision on.
Speaking of hiding, Charm is going to connect onto Peanut here, but the Weaver's Wall is going to come on down. Faker does get out of the way of the rocks, but he's just going to get taken out. The flash was already used, and he's just going to die. And now we're taxiing over to Gumayusi, who's also taking massive damage. Peanut locks that one down. It's a double as the bottom lane evaporates, and Ona is trying to get something back. Does take down the Varus, but the threaded volleys are chasing the Jack through. Still the empowered one not going to connect as Peanut flashing in. Okay, I'm not sure about that one, but the threaded volley will save him. And Homolife Esports find a big team fight.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1 here coming through, but at the end of the day, the fact that Zeka picks up that final kill is massive. Peanut is getting so big in this game, and even though his flash play looks like a bit of a whoopsie, it helps Zeka secure the kill, so he'll take it in the end. And man, all the wind is out of the sails here for T1 now. Find themselves nearly at a 2,000 gold deficit. It's a 4,000 gold swing, more or less, here after these last two plays. Bottom side into the skirmish mid. As Peanut's just lurking here when Faker goes to ward. Half his health bar is gone. I mean, he's got Sundered Sky so early. The Xin Zhao is not messing around. And the Rumble ultimate here just isn't enough to zone. Fate's Call attempt here from Guma is pretty cool to maybe see if that knockup is going to be the one to turn the tides. But the damage is just gone.
And the W empowered Q damage from Viper just tearing apart this bottom lane.
But then Peanut.
And this is weird. But thankfully Zeka was there. Was almost a leap strike in power, and it was just doomed as okay. Hook gonna connect onto Carrier once again. Chains of Corruption pretty powerful as well, as they're now just right in the back of this pit. Peanut gonna be taken down first though as Zeka comes on in finally. Carrier keeping himself alive for so long, but will finally go down. And it's a 2-for-1 again here for Homolife Esports, but Faker closing in. Gumayusi still here as well. Charm going to land, and Faker pops like a balloon. Delight has been a god today, and that's not going to end in this game. He has the Titan's Wrath, and Zeus, nothing he can do 1v4.
Delight is just insane. The guy just knows how much he can do, how much he can take in terms of damage. He has no fear. And I cannot believe T1 let this guy have this champion 3 times in a row. His knowledge has been so fantastic. 10 out of 13 KP right now. And these skirmishes are not going T1's way, but they need to fight early. They need to get tempo advantages. They've already lost control, so they're just kind of indexing into, we better win this fight. And Peanut, Crescent Guard isn't great here. He takes a ton of damage, but he also tanks so much damage that the fight is already won. Guma has to flash because he loses out on bottom side. At this point, Carrier is just trying to buy time. They end up picking off Owner, and these fights are never going to go T1's way, unfortunately, in these moments. And then Faker's like, hold on, I think we might have one more chance of this, because, again, they have to win these fights early or the game ends, and then Delight just says, absolutely not. Gets the shield here, denies Guma, and that is that. And that may just be the first step to the end of this series. The fact that Hanwha were already taking back control was one thing, but that last fight almost feels like, even at 17 minutes here, the last nail in the coffin. T1 in massive trouble. The Kalista that they draft Pyodeer here with the Rumble sitting at 1-4. The Rumble beside her, same kill score line.
Oh, Hook is going to connect. Chains of Corruption do come down though, and that is going to spell the Fate's Call out from Gumayusi. Now Carrier not going to be nearly as aggressive. It's only 17.5 minutes into this game, so no Barons to talk about just yet. I was thinking that because we were around the Baron pit that maybe that was going to be the situation, but no, not to be the case. Is now Doran. He's going to go back to base. He was also pretty pivotal in that last fight, but I'm going to have to hold that thought as the Weaver's Wall comes in. Seismic shove, throws back Gumayusi, but no rocks on the ground, so we'll be right for now as Equalizer comes in. Lots of value, but the hook out from Delight, and he says no to any sort of re-engage. Speaking of re-engage, Shelly is still getting annoyed at Peanut, and is once again going to reset.
Guma avoiding that shove is massive. Didn't have the flash.
Oh, Charm going to connect, but it's Delight. He's still taken down to half health, as of course, he is not the center variety of the Nautilus.
Certainly not. But man, Atlas, I mean, these fights, these skirmishes are not going T1's way. The charm connects, but it's onto a tanky Nautilus who has Merc treads. He just doesn't really care. Hanwha Life Esports is going to take this Scuttle, the mini Baron. You know, you were like, oh, we're going to Baron Pit. It does feel like they have taken that much control over this game, and the fact that Viper is sitting at 4 kills, 6 assists here, is about to be an item up on his counterpart Guma, who did have huge advantages after the initial early game with the Rumble push. Just wild how much swing Hanwha have gotten in this game.
This is going to be a bit dangerous for Doran, who's going to try and umbrally dash away from Zeus, and will just be enough. Worldender is going to be employed, and so that means that they at least get something for their trouble. The Faker roaming up towards the top side doesn't get too much value.
Oh, it is Infernal Soul. You know, we've been talking about all the action here. We knew it was going to be a better Drake than Chemtech, but...
All right, Carrier, looking a bit scary. But not too much else going to be found in the outer turret in mid lane. Will just go down.
And what I was going to say about the Infernal is just that I feel like that's maybe one way if you could stack that early here as T1. You could give you some longevity in this composition, but I think the control is already lost. I don't know if they get to stack any more dragons. I don't know if they ever get another dragon in this game, and that's the scary thing, but at least it is somewhat hopeful that perhaps maybe with one mistake, one great charm, and to a Jax Counter-Strike, somebody's out of position, Viper overextends. There's a way back into this series, a way back into the beginning of the reverse sweep.
Yeah, it's possible. They've also got the 2 Drake buffer, so they don't need to worry about Soul coming through for an extra 10 minutes in comparison to what it could have been. But with an early game composition like this, it just doesn't feel fantastic to be this far behind. And we say this far behind, it's only 2.5K, right? But when you're staring down the barrel of Taliyah, Aatrox, when you have the Rek'Sai and the Kalista and the support Rumble, right?
You're supposed to be more than 2K ahead at 20 minutes if your comp is winning. And they're 2K behind, as you say.
Ooh, Infernal Chain's going to pull back Zeus, but he tunnels. And Delight not going to be able to find the hook for that reason.
I mean, this Rumble hasn't even gotten the Leandries at 20 minutes. I mean, that tells the story of this game.
Ooh. Peanut hunting for Carrier as now the flash forward from Delight. He's just going to press the R button onto Gumayushi, and the Weaver's Wall is going to get the flash out. The Equalizer comes down just to slow them down, but oh my god, the damage from these Qs out of Viper. Charm is just going to be avoided here by Doran, who's going to turn it around, gets the flash out from Carrier, and Ona has to leap strike his way out. They are running for the hills, and Hanwha Life Esports do get control of this dragon.
First Infernal Dragon will be theirs here. Really flashy way to start off and guarantee they get this prio. No kills go over, but it's very successful. It's T1, there is no way they are going to be able to take this turret. They put only a small dent in it. That's going to be the cross map, you could say, for the Dragon. And flash down on Guma, flash down on Keria. These are scary things to hear if you're a T1 fan when Aatrox is on the loose. And we mentioned this in the draft, the Aatrox against this very squishy composition, especially the Rumble support who has to try to clear vision against Hanwha Life, is never what you want to see. They're going to be able to grab this bottom turret here as well. This Aatrox getting larger by the second. And Hanwha have been so good at controlling their leads. Every time they get a lead, their vision control has been so oppressive.
Bit of an interruption, but Zeus is still going to be able to make it towards his bottom side. Shelly not going to get punished. Her gold is going to go to the Nether, or to the Void, I guess. And inner turret is secured on this bottom side. That gold lead ballooning for Hanwha Life, now over 3,000. And Hanwha are just moving into their jungle. Okay, there's a seismic shove onto this. Rek'Sai does try to get on top of Viper, but he's just not low enough. No execution available. Immediate teleport from Doran gets him towards his top side so that there is no cross-map play to be had. And man, Hanwha Life Esports came to play today.
And you can just feel the desperation out of T1.
Another one as the Q connecting. Carrier just going to get wiped out by Zeka on his Taliyah that's starting to become one of the champions in his wheelhouse. Wolf, we mentioned that he's been so improved on this pick, and it's once again proving true.
Hanwha Life, I mean, they're playing around him so beautifully. Yeah, the Weaver's Wall on the bottom side play earlier wasn't enough. It was so close to being enough. But man, he has just improved so massively. And with the vision that Zeus had, it looked like a good call there. Perhaps he thought Doran had already teleported topside or maybe had back there. It looked like maybe it was a good play, but he's trying to find any angle he can right now. Same with Keria here. He's just fishing for maybe I have the damage, maybe owner collapses with me, because there is no other way back into this game but to then find a hard-forced pick into Hanwha Life. But if Hanwha Life keeps stopping you, your chances get slimmer and slimmer every time you miss them.
Oh dear, Peanut finds owner one more time. Wind Becomes Lightning will not find the mark as the Weaver's Wall left a little to be desired. Is Equalizer going to come down to protect the teleport? Still, Delight just straight up does not care about that one. Peanut also getting taken down relatively low, but that double knockup was too good! And now Faker is having to get out of there. It's not going to work out. Still, it's a fair bit of damage, but it is not enough. They are too strong. Still, into the backline goes Zeus. Zeka able to find a lot of damage onto the Rek'Sai, and he shouldn't be able to get out. Still, those couple of kills onto the bottom lane could be important to try and keep T1 in there. Still, it's going to be the ace, and it should still be the Baron for Homolife.
I don't think anybody would have predicted. A lot of people predicted Hanwha. There were no 3-0s. There were only 2 3-1s for me and Chronicler, but nobody would have walked into this series, not even the most intense Hanwha fan.
Brave enough to commit to the 3-0.
But no one would have expected this was going to be a more one-sided series than Hanwha and Kwangdong. And I mean, Kwangdong had bigger leads than T1 had in their early games where they had advantages, and Hanwha Life are just rolling over T1. And yes, this game state was bad, and it has been bad for the last 10 minutes, so nothing T1 does is going to look good, and the lead is just going to continue. But you can't just give up a Baron. You have to come over here and contest. And Hanwha Life, with their composition, the expiration date for T1 was so long ago, and you can really feel and smell the stink of what this comp is going to look like. 7,000 gold behind, 24.5 minutes in. The Baron goes over to Hanwha Life, and they are just stacking these Infernal Dragons.
Yeah, 1 minute and 20 seconds on that second one for Homolife Esports if they would like it. 2.5 minutes still left on the Baron. T1 now with only desperation plays remaining, really, is what it feels like here. They know that the expiration date has pretty much been and gone on this composition as far as needing to get advantages. Still, there is always the death brush. There is always the try to wait for Homolife Esports to make a mistake. As Zeus, he is going to have a little bit of attention here, eats the CC as he tunnels his way out. But now still with this minion wave bearing down on the top inner turret, it is likely they're just going to be able to take this one. Equalizer does come on through, doesn't do a lot of damage to these minions as they're baroned up. And the flash out from Carrier as, all right, Doran, I'm not sure about this one, but still, he pops the World Ender. He's going to go down, but Carrier should follow suit. Zeus gets back underneath his turret. Faker is just in the side lane trying to get them whatever bounty gold they can find. And it's working, because the Baron power play has gone down.
Yeah, he is actually staying here as well. Zeka's going to come over to deal with him. Really like the trap they set up there for Doran. Ends up taking him out. Took a long time because lethality Aatrox is no joke.
They might also be able to find themselves a dragon.
Yeah, they might be able to. Now,
okay, there's an interruption on Zeus. They're buying time to secure the dragon, which they are going to be able to do.
Yeah, at the cost of their inhibitor turret here, as Zeka is also pushing mid. One dragon here, if it was Infernal Soul, you'd feel pretty good about this. It's just really going to feel like bounty gold, and the threat of an Infernal Soul fight, Hanwha Life aren't really concerned about here in trade for inhibitor turrets. And a kill onto Zeus, as they're actually just going to get the whole inhibitor. T1 trying to set up the flank.
Yeah, Zeker in trouble. He's going to get charmed up. It's a lot of damage out from Faker as the flash has to be employed. Still, Homolife Esports are continuing to push. This Nexus turret taken down to 50% health, and Weaver's Wall will get Zeker on over. So 5 members of Homolife Esports now in position, but they do want to back away. Ryushi does get his shield broken. Qs are hitting their mark here from Viper, and they'll get themselves a Nexus turret and an inhibitor turret, and the inhib on the top side of the map for that Baron power play. 2.5k.
The Seraph shield there coming up big for Zeka as he does survive here. This is a really cool trap as they know that Doran is rotating over here. There's not a whole lot of vision here for Hanwha Life, so Doran just kind of walks his way into this one. Blast cones in, has to flash away while Faker is getting that bounty. So the idea here for T1 is to maybe trade 1-for-1, grab some gold bounty, then push for the dragon. But Hanwha Life, they don't choke. They don't actually hesitate. They don't mess this up. They don't play slow. They're like, oh, okay, well, we can't match Faker there. We can't stop the dragon, but we will get the inhibitor. And since you don't have Infernal Soul, this is definitely going to be worth it. Zeus, unfortunately, just did not know the light was sticking around and will die for his trouble, but at least buys time for them to get the dragon. Problem is, without him, there's no defense for the inhib. And now this Nexus is missing a turret, and Hanwha Life just give no quarter in this series.
They really don't. I think Viper and Delight actually almost strategically stood still to avoid getting seen by the Tremor Sense. And so Zeus kind of walked into his death there. It was really, really cute play around the mechanics of the Rek'Sai. He does have 3 items. He's very tanky, but Hammerlife Esports, they are looking to take down this inhibitor turret. And every auto from Viper is so scary still. Equalizer does come down. Chains of Corruption go wide. But still, how did T1 approach? There's rocks on the ground. There is so much poke available here as well. And there's a hook that's going to connect. The charm lands onto Viper. Zeus gets into the backline as well. And Viper is going to be taken out. Delight is extraordinarily low. They take down the Rumble. But T1, this is the best fight they've had so far. And Gumayushi is still untouched. Doran trying to get some work done, but he goes all the way into the sky. Oh my god. Never you mind. This Aatrox is too big. And he's just jumping all over the top of T1.
He missed a lot, but it doesn't matter. He's lethality Aatrox, and he won't miss the autos. And once he gets on top of Guma, he takes him out there. Great fight for T1, all things considered. They thinned out the wave with the equalizer. They focused down Delight, even with his arm guard there.
That's a lot of tunnels for Zeus here, as Doran, he doesn't quite have the longevity in these fights that Zeus has, but he does have a lot of minions inside the base.
And that last Nexus turret here gets very low with Carrier respawning. Even he is going to struggle to clear this one up, and down it goes. So now it's just an open Nexus here. On the Life fans let out a huge cheer. And once again, Peanut's got his hands off the keyboard, knowing that this one is basically just about dotting his I's and crossing his T's here. As Delight's engage here is a little bit suspect, but remember, he's able to flash and kill Faker, and he has the arm guard, and then the disengage here from Peanut is fantastic, but ends up getting himself slowed here under turret. Doran, he misses a lot. Zeka is a Talia trying to brawl against this Rek'Sai and Jax, but immediately, or not immediately, ultimately, Doran, despite missing a lot of abilities here, will just auto-attack his way to victory.
Yeah, gets a bunch of resets with that World Ender, and is able to just flap his way around. This, I mean, the Aatrox is now 5-1-6.
It just doesn't matter if he misses or not. He just eventually kills you.
Yeah, like, hit them with your buttons and your auto attacks and stuff like that. He's got the Profane Hydra. The 3 items that he needed have been completed. Cyrilda's now done as well, as now Hammerlife Esports getting to work on this Baron. My god, it goes down so quickly. The wall is put in the way of T1, and there's nothing they can do about it. Hammerlife now with another Baron ready to push down on an exposed Nexus, remember. Faker loses a third of his health bar just to 1 arrow. And doesn't find the charm, as Delight will find the hook onto the Rek'Sai. Not exactly an optimal target. And now Peanut, he's going in. Equalizer goes down. Crescent Guard, my god, this damage is disgusting! And Hammerlife will just get rid of the bottom lane immediately. The knockup comes in, the prepared seismic shove. And yeah, that Void Rush not going to be enough to save the Rek'Sai this time. And Hammerlife, a 3-0 over T1 in round 2 of playoffs. T1 will now have to face off against D+ Kia in the lower bracket.
A very, very decisive